Very good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the agenda, we have Chris, article, oh, sorry, my bad. Anybody for open mic?
Chris LeBou, 13 Brattle Road. I just wanted to speak in favor of Article 36, which is, I believe, to change it to the fine to $75 regarding the snow removal. The reason why I wanted to speak in favor of it is not revenue part of it per se, but is more for the equity part of it. So usually, like, I think with any type of law, right, like the $10 fine right now, as it is being used to say that it is the responsibility of the owners to clear their sidewalks. But the reality is that if you have a $10 fine, it's like having like a $1 fine for a handicap space. It's not necessarily, there's really no teeth to anything. So a person could basically, as far as I know, not do it. And then everyone else that either has handicap accessible issues, elderly, or people even walking to school, then have to deal with either the consequences of not being able to access getting to where they need to go. So I think I saw online, it was individuals talking about needing a notary at the library. And I thought about how that individual might be struggling with actually being able to get there, say if it was in a snow or some type of area. And I think that $75 will make people more attentive to actually making sure that it is clear. And in all honesty, I think that they're, that as a neighborhood, if there's concerns about whether it's an elderly or someone else, that neighborhood can come together, or someone can find amicable way of removing the snow. And that's all I have to say on the article there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else?
Well, I just got a point of order is that if I want to speak on that particular article, should I wait until the proponent talks?
No, it's open mic, you can speak on whatever.
Okay.
Just give your name and address. Good.
My name is John Griffin, 8 Argonne Road. I'm here to speak in opposition to the Article 36. I understand maybe what I'm wanting to really hear the proponents' message as well, but I understand it. It might be a public safety issue of regarding sidewalks not being cleared. However, sidewalks aren't distributed evenly or equitably within the town. Most roads, and maybe your own road is like this, only has sidewalks on one side of the road and not another.
Not at all.
Or not at all, yeah, not at all. So I would argue that, you're putting the burden of shoveling sidewalks in neighborhoods on just anywhere between 20 and 30% of the population or the homeowners. And it's not equitable across the board where sidewalks don't abut every property in town. And it's an issue that sidewalks are cleared in the winter. My other problem with the bylaw is it really doesn't address other seasons of the year. You can walk, and I shouldn't say this, but my neighbor, you can't walk on the sidewalk in front of his house because it's not cleared from my property line to the other property line. There's a girl who walks the sidewalk. She gets off when she comes to his property, walks on the street and gets on the sidewalk at my property, and then walks to the end of the sidewalk. And the sidewalks aren't evenly distributed on the roads. I mean, on my particular road, the sidewalk ends at my property. It just ends. And then there's grass. So in the wintertime, like if I shovel that and I make a wall of snow at the end, the person then has to walk back out to my driveway and then back onto the road to make to further their journey. I don't think making people shovel snow on sidewalks is the answer to ensuring people have a place safe, a safe place to walk. And that's it. I just think it's a little, it's uneven across the board. It's not an evenly applied.
Thank you. Anybody else with Mike? Chris, you're up. Article 18.
I'm Chris Sennett, I'm Chair of the 250th Committee. I am here to look for $25,000 so we can have our celebration on July 2nd of 2026. If I don't look at all of you, there's a lot going on. No, it's all right. I feel better walking around. So for the celebration, moving target, right? That's how you, come on, I'll dodge. So we're looking for the 25,000. As of right now, we have contracts, we're working on getting a contract signed with firework company, which their minimum is 25,000. So we have a large celebration that we are planning, probably multi-part master plan within my brain. But for definite is going to be the fireworks show with a band, music, people to sit. And then we'll kind of see where we go from there, how much money we can fund outside of that 25. But I definitely want to secure at least something for July, being the firework display. So I'm here for any questions you might have on other things that we might be doing. Because if I go through my whole master plan, you guys will just be like, whoa, this kid's nuts. So any questions?
Yes, I have a
Mary.
question.
Yes,
Have you already raised some money?
So we have, so we're running an ad book, where we're going out to businesses, that we are looking for the corporate commercial sponsors. So that ad book is selling pretty well. We have full page ads, half page ads, quarter page ads, and we have business directory. So the purpose of this book is to pretty much put every business in Billerica into this book so people can easily search it. It's a commemorative book. We're gonna be giving out hard copies along with soft copies, free to residents.
Nice.
The businesses that donate will receive, a free 3 hardcover.
Yeah.
Town seal, stories about Billerica through with all the ads sponsoring those stories. So it has been going pretty well. Right now, I want to say we probably raised around 15,000. Through that ad book, obviously we haven't calculated what the total books are going to cost us. But right now they're running between $3 to $7 a book, depending on how many of each we order. And then obviously I'd be looking for the bulk discount from them, but
Okay.
probably start distributing those January 1st, but we are fundraising up until the end of October.
And where will the fireworks be at?
So as of right now, the Marshall is a definite spot we can do it. However, we're looking at Vietnam Veterans Park. I'm actually having the fireworks company come up to survey it, check. Reason being is Marshall, we can only light off up to 3-inch cakes. Where if we're doing this one time only, I want to do bigger and better, which would be 4, 5, 6-inch cakes with a big display down below. Cakes are the shells that they fire. So they have the soccer field down there, but they have to make sure that budding neighborhoods aren't going to be affected. If once they come out, we'll be moving it back to the marsh.
Sounds like a great project. I hope it goes on the edge.
That's what I'm shooting for,
Yeah.
right? So we have this master plan, just like building a house, you have a master plan in your head. And then, you do have to deduct and take away depending on what we end up raising by the time it's.
How do you get one of those hardcover books?
So we'll be having them at any events that we're at. So we'll always carry a few copies with us. We're gonna end up stationing pretty much all our donors or sponsors. O'Connor's will probably get, 500 copies with all the high traffic areas. If we put them at,
What do you think the cost? What are you gonna charge to try to recoup? The
for the
money?
books? Yeah, nothing. Yep, nothing. The goal with our committee is anything we do is free. Because we're not a committee that should be trying to gather money, like I said, but we do want those corporate sponsors. So once we start outlining the plan, getting everything moving, and we can go to school committee to use the high school parking lot. We would like to have vendors, food trucks, and then we would try to grab revenue off of them, a portion of their revenue. Which then at the end of this, hopefully we have, a good sum of money where we can start distributing to different items within town.
A parade? Are you planning a parade like the Yankee Doodle?
No parade, no parade, no. No parade, no parade. So. Well, so the problem we have is, we can't replicate Yankee Doodle. I don't want to step on their toes and do exactly as they do. Let them have the parade. I belong with the Berwick Christmas Parade, so I'm already in one parade. One parade's enough. But I want to do separate and not let them think that we're just going. Right.
You're not copying.
Exactly. The fireworks, obviously. But you know, the old, like I said, Berwick is one and we've never done for the 4th of July. So we'd really like it to be special.
I wanted to start over here, Larry.
Okay. Well, you went to rear or something. What about this?
Bill, doing the last time next.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Jim?
Hey, Chris. So the 25,000 will pretty much cover the fireworks.
Correct. Yeah, so, the firework company, their minimum to come out for July 2nd is 20.
That's bare bone.
That's, well, so the Yankee Doodle spends about 15. Ours was
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah, we're getting $25,000 worth of fireworks for the money we're spending.
Okay.
If we can raise more and there's a surplus, I'd like to do obviously 35 or 40. Like I said, just depends on what we end up fully gathering from, you know, our efforts.
So I'm just kind of trying to visualize how this all is gonna play out. So you said there's gonna be a band.
There's gonna be a band. Yep.
And you're hoping to have food trucks and things like that, or?
For parades.
Okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be kind of a mini Yankee Doodle kind of.
No, bigger.
Oh.
No, bigger.
So, and that takes me to another question.
Yes.
I'm just curious, why, I know you said you didn't want to step on Yankee Doodle's
Yep.
toes, but they have like institutional knowledge for this, so they've done this stuff
Mhm.
before. I'm just curious why you guys didn't get somehow hook up with them a little bit.
Well, so when I was out, so I've already had the talks with them, well, at least one of the two of the members. About, you know, working with us and helping us move it through. The only problem is from July to September. I don't want to take away their resources because they're gonna,
Yep.
yeah, so
Fair, yep.
that's, I try to be fair and not ask for too much. I take on as much as I can. But you know, they kind of brought up the vendors and everything, so grand plan is fireworks to Vietnam veterans. Hopefully the high school allows us to use their parking lot for the vendors, food trucks, etc. The Marshall, we actually are going, submitting all the paperwork for a touch military vehicle, so a military display where we be able to have flyovers, helicopters land, tanks and all that stuff. So Donnie at VSO is working with us to get that paperwork in.
So kind of like Tuesday in Bellrick or anything.
Yeah, I guess so. So that will hopefully be at the Marshalls. We have to talk with, you know, school department.
Yep.
And then assuming all that pans out, I'm looking to get shuttle buses. And then, yeah,
My other question, you're spread out all over town now. How logistically would that work?
Shuttle buses.
Shuttle buses.
shuttle buses, Grace actually just mentioned trolleys, which would be pretty cool. You know, and I look for, you know, community's input as well as far as ideas. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, it's a community, if we gotta try to.
I think when I was on school committee, one of the biggest shocks I ever had was when we saw how much we pay on transportation. So. So be warned.
So the goal is a company would like to do it for the day. If they can work,
You can donate.
yeah, and that's kind of how we go. There's a lot of companies in town. And if they can come in and they'll get their sponsorships, they'll get their banners, they'll get all that stuff. But Vietnam veterans, assuming that pans out, I've already talked to a couple companies that have cranes or lifts. And we're gonna have a 50-foot flag, both sides behind the band, shooting the fireworks. So visually beautiful. So it's kind of where we're going with that.
That's all I had, Mr. Kim. Thank you.
Right, thanks for time.
First of all, thanks for doing this. Thank you for your enthusiasm. I was like, yeah, absolutely. This is just more of a process question, maybe for Amit or Chris. Is this just gonna be set up like a special account in there, and then they're just gonna come to you with quotes or invoices and things like that?
Yeah, so they already have a special revenue account.
Okay,
They've done a few small fundraisers where deposits, so what they do is they turn over the deposits, deposit the money. And anything that's kind of spent, it's just like any other department, they need to submit the invoice, the backup, the support. We kind of audit it, proof it, make sure that it's all within means, and then we pay it out.
perfect. Thank you very much. I look forward to it.
All right. Would love some help. I will.
Thanks, buddy. Nothing? John?
Looking forward to it. I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The thing that's stuck in my mind right now is we do have Yankee Doodle in September.
Correct.
And I'm not sure if that date is significant to Yankee Doodle other than they just had it in September versus hooking up with you guys, having it 4th of July.
Mhm.
Have fireworks at Marshall on one night, have fireworks at BVP at another night, you know, food trucks for the whole week and all that, so you can leverage your revenue, leverage all the stuff that goes on. Maybe shift it to the 4th of July, because it is celebration. That's the 250th is it Bill Rickers or is it
It's the countries.
countries? Okay. So, you know, I can just see you could make a heck of a party for the town.
Mhm.
So it shifts over to the 4th of July, but you can double the fireworks, you can leverage all the resources of all the bands and groups and food trucks coming in and everyone else coming in and you know, make it up. Cause the only thing I see happening is, yeah, people will show up for fireworks because it's 4th of July. They might go down and hit the food trucks, but then there is gonna be taking from one or the other, or there's gonna be, oh, we're gonna go to Yankee Doodle versus this one, and they're both very similar,
Mhm.
you know, and I love the idea. And I'm just saying, geez, if you guys pulled your resources, you can have a crazy, you know, town event that would kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. And if you wanted to double up the fireworks, the only other thing I'm wondering is that's just my comment. I'm not sure if, you know, that's a possibility or no, we're just gonna have two separate things. The question I had is how much total money do you need? I know the 25,000 for fireworks. What's your total line, bottom line, like, if it's, you know, hey, we need this fundraise, this amount.
So I would have to put a number on it, between police details, buses, organizing bands, platforms, I would probably say around 100.
Okay. So the 25 year,
And that's again, master.
no, I get that. I'm thinking about, you know, the 25 year, the 15 you already raised. It's definitely one. What was the other thing I was thinking? So obviously I think police details have to be covered through this. So, you know, that's what I'm saying is, you know, you have this opportunity to pool resources and maybe get to the 100. So check up all the boxes, the Yankee Doodle stuff, everything that they do, they bring bands and they do all that type of stuff. And
Can I say something? Is
Yeah.
it possible that Yankee Doodle wants to do their traditional thing that they've done for many years?
Well, so we've never brought this up to them.
Yeah.
Again, like I commented, I don't want to
step on it.
incorrect, right? So if they came to me and said, hey, like, let's do this. I mean, I can ask the question. I have no issue,
Well,
bringing something.
You're
forward.
absolutely right. I don't want to step on their toes
Yeah.
about changing their time, but you know, the 4th of July is definitely the right day
Yeah,
for the celebration. The question is whether you step on their toes and then they have theirs in September, or you both say, hey, we're gonna pool it and do 2 sets of fireworks and make it a real crazy weekend for that type of stuff. That's all I was asking.
yeah, no, I mean, it's a great idea. These are the ideas that we'd like to have everyone come in and kind of tell us.
Because, I think, brought up the right point. You know, there's a lot of knowledge they already bring to the table. 'Cause
Yeah.
they've been doing it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So they could throw a lot of that experience out there, what works, what doesn't work.
Mhm.
With the opportunity to make it a lot bigger is
Mhm.
the thing I'm thinking versus two groups trying to tap into the same set of money resources.
Yep.
That's-
I couldn't agree more, bigger the better.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know. I mean, that would be my first. Either they boost up their thing as a 250th, but they do it in September, which is kind of after the fact, where a lot of towns have their 250th or have their 4th of July celebration, except the Working doesn't.
Correct.
Um,
Never have.
Never have. Which, you know, we end up going to other towns, but if Bill Ricketts says, hey, we're gonna do a big party in the celebration on the 4th of July. And, oh, by the way, we're bundling it up with the one we're doing 2 months later.
Yeah.
You know, you can do a heck of a lot with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Turn it into a real crazy celebration. That's a one-off, so it's, you know, if someone has to move one celebration for 1 year, I'm not answering for them, I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
It's a thought. It's a path.
yeah, and it might give the people who donate a more chance to donate, because they're saying, oh, yeah, I donate to Yankee Doodle.
Mhm.
But now we're doing this, which is, yeah, I'll do it versus, oh, which one do I pick?
Yeah.
That's what we also don't want to do is tap into the resource centers. Yeah, so I like the idea.
Awesome.
It's a 250. It's not a common time we get that and,
Once in a lifetime.
yeah. And having it on the fourth would be really kind of nice, so.
Once in a life.
And
Once in
honestly,
a lifetime.
if you do 2 nights in a row, you're gonna probably get a lot more people because other towns will show up and, you'll get all of that too. Where-
Well, my goal is to take people from other towns to this 4th of July anyways.
No, I agree, but if you have a bigger event, there's people who, towns that don't have big events, they have to do fireworks, this could be a real big event when they can all do it, and especially 2 venues. One other question is, does Veterans Park have enough parking, seating to handle a big enough crowd if you have a really big group? I know like Marshall has a lot of parking and people park all over the area.
Mhm.
Veterans is kind of a tough spot because you're next to the prison, you have very few roads that you can park along. They just did the balloon test there and I know it was kind of crazy for parking, so you trade off parking for people.
They've learned a lot.
That's what Correct. So we'll have the shuttle bus.
Yeah, I'm just saying is, I know Marshall, they've been doing fireworks forever and
Yeah.
people don't even go to Marshall, they hang out in the neighborhoods and I'm just wondering how will veterans work compared to Marshall? You can do bigger.
So
Fireworks.
ideally, so we're still looking at plotting it out.
Yeah.
But again, shuttle buses would be a huge help. There's a bunch of commercial lots. I know the prison will most likely let us, park there after hours. So, there's definitely a way.
Yeah.
And
Like I said, I would probably talk to the group that's doing Yankee Doodle and see if there's opportunity there. If they say, no, we're doing it in September, then fine, you do your own deal.
Yeah.
You'll be first, so,
Yeah.
if yours is crazy good fireworks, they have something to match.
yeah. It's a big expense.
Yeah.
But, and the Yankee Doodle fireworks are always.
Oh, they're very good.
Yeah.
They're very good. Just saying is, this could be an opportunity to really do a crazy job. And I know towns like Wilmington do their stuff too. And a lot of people go to Wilmington to go watch them. Why not come here?
Exactly.
And,
Bring it home.
well, and it's opportunity for a lot of things, local businesses and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I can see it being a good thing for the town. It's just, whether you try to usurp the other group or you try to merge with them, at least this wants to do a big job.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll look at it and see what they.
And I'd rather celebrate 20 to 250th on the board versus in September.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking.
Well, so we'll also be promoting for 200, so we may extend our committee as well to Yankee Doodle and put a float. We might try to put a float in, see. Might be burnt out.
So that's all I had.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your questions. I appreciate the feedback. Again, jump on one of the meetings and, feel free to, help us out.
Jen,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear more about it as it grows.
Thank you. Have you had some smaller events already, like, with this past April and July?
So we have had a bunch of smaller events. I couldn't name them off the top of my head, but most of the stuff we're doing is promoting. So we promoted with, for VSO, a lot of our stuff is for that. Promoted the pig roast, help them out. We donate stuff to them. We'll always have a representative there. We're at Yankee Doodle. We had craft fair at Town Hall. That was in May. Generated probably around a couple $100, but it was more so just to get the community involved, and get some vendors in there and get familiar with everybody. I jumped on February. So from February to that, now here we are in September and getting colder and, we'll have, next event is going to be a ladies luncheon, which will be in February. I think it's February 8th. We'll have a bunch of speakers there. And that's gonna be a sit-down dinner, well, lunch, I should say. And, it's on the rec department's website, so you all can jump on, buy a ticket. And that will be most likely our next, we might try to do something around Christmas time, but again, small pop-ups. Again, we don't want to burn ourselves out, trying to get to July.
I guess that's what my question leads to is, where are you publicizing? Because I tend to see some of these events after they've occurred, and they're things I may have wanted to go to, but I haven't seen them before. So I'm just wondering where you're publicizing.
So we're on.
I don't want people to miss, especially this huge event.
Yeah, no, they won't be here.
Okay.
This will be plenty well advertised. So we Facebook page, website. The website took us a little bit to get up and running. But Facebook page, a lot of sharing. Goes posted to all the town pages. We posted town hall will have some signage, usually a poster. We're trying to get the whiteboard at the island.
Yeah.
So we try these different means. We haven't really found our groove, but now I'm trying to hit the ground running to really make that groove happen. So
Okay.
You'll start seeing more and more advertising.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, sure.
Yeah.
Anything further? No, thank you.
Sure. Going once, twice.
Personnel tonight.
All right, 3 times. Good.
I'm lying. Chris,
Yes, Chip.
great. So listen, this is good stuff. How far along are you with the books? Like the input, the stuff you need to put in it, putting it together?
So Isaac, he's now our vice chair, he's writing the stories. I want to say he has 5 or 6 done. We're not gonna be putting the books together till after we get all our advertisers in. We have a total of probably around 15 to 16 advertisers. Most of them are larger advertisers. And then we'll start hunting down the business directory and try to get all those fitted.
Pictures in it too?
So the stories will have pictures. I'm contemplating, or I should say the committee will be contemplating, doing black and white with like an old style paper, at least for the hardcovers. So it feels more authentic and to be more historic, even though it's brand spanking new. And yeah, so we're still just in the advertising phase.
Thick book, thin?
But I would say right now it's probably running around 50 pages. I'd like to see it get up and more businesses try to jump on board to push it up to that 100 page. I don't want to exceed the 100 page because that costs significantly more for the book.
Understood. 25,000. Is there a thought that you might ask for more money? In other words, 25,000 is the total cost.
25,000.
Our payment is the total cost.
25,000 covers the fireworks, so we're guaranteed the fire. Will I be coming back for more money?
Well, I think Doug asked that, so you're looking at probably a total of 100. All together, all in?
That's like, we're throwing a good party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really all I have. Thank you for this.
No, no,
Mr. Chair, can I ask one
Yes, sir.
question? The big one, what is the start and end time on this big party?
What's that? So it's a Thursday, so my goal is that people are getting out of work early on Thursday to have Friday as the day off, to have a long weekend.
Right.
For the 4th of July. Probably kick off around 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock
On the Thursday?
on the Thursday. And then it would run all the way till, depending on when they shut us down.
On the Thursday or through the weekend?
No, we're not running through the weekend because nobody's probably gonna be here. So it's gonna be a one big day.
The Thursday, 3 till whenever.
Whenever the cops throw us.
When I was gonna say, when the Rick's finest come and say, that's it.
So, I mean, we could, if the vendors want to stay open and they want to do activities and everything, we can stay open virtually till then.
I will say one thing about the marshal is I noticed there was some comments from residents complaining about the cars and everything for the 4th of the Yankee Doodle fireworks. They may not be too thrilled if you're there having it twice.
At Marshall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cars and then, you know, Yankee Doodle's coming up, because I think Yankee Doodle tries to tie it into homecoming, so.
Yeah, so it's all one and the same. I mean, with the shuttle buses, I mean, realistically, I could have 7 stops down Boston Road. And they can park in Market Basket, they'd be able to park, used to be Market Basket, but, you know, Burke Wall, they could park anywhere and just have those stops. You know, as long as the businesses and the business will be well aware, you know, this is kind of what we're doing, and
You may want to, if you buy using the marshal, talk to the Ricker about putting up no parking on resident streets there.
okay,
Where you're gonna have the shuttle bus.
I think that should be a no-brainer. Shouldn't park on resident streets.
Yeah, but they do.
Yeah, we'll definitely,
But I know the Ricker has to do that with the farmer's market on those 2 side streets.
how much should I charge the fine?
I don't know what the fine is. I just know they put up signs saying don't do it, don't park.
No, well, that'll definitely be wild. Yeah, I don't like people parking in front of my house, so make sure you're all set.
John?
Mr. Chairman, I move the Finance Committee recommend Article 18 as printed in the final warrant.
Second.
All those in favor? That's unanimous. 11. Chris, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, I'll see you all
All right.
probably really soon.
Have a good night.
Just for the record, I'm gonna play a little bit of timekeeper. We spent 30 minutes on Article 18, which is important. We have 10 articles in total. I understand that, everybody has the right to fully examine each article, but, you know, in fairness to the people who are number 8, 9, or 10, where we all start getting tired and, want to try to rush, can we just try to, keep this, as succinct?
So like John said, let's not ramble, just get to the point. Stick to the items. All right, next on the agenda, Article 8. There we go.
No.
Before you get into it, I want to ask this question because it's gonna come up. So they're bundling everything together. We have a member who has, a family member as a parent. We're gonna you're gonna submit this, or we're gonna talk about each contract separately?
For transparency purposes, yes. In terms of a vote, it would be for the total number.
Okay, so he could be excused on that one contract. And then vote the bottom line.
Well, there's no vote for the individual contract.
Right.
So I,
But he could excuse himself from,
I will not discuss what was Article 9.
Understood.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, so,
you do.
yeah, my wife's a parent, so I guess we can't talk about the parent contract, but I guess we're gonna have to be able to vote on that bottom line.
This is question, Chairman, point of order. I'm not sure that's correct. We're voting on the entire article.
So what I'm talking about
They
is,
just have to recuse themselves from the entire article.
Yeah.
It's one number. You can't just vote to subtract. Yeah, we're voting on the article.
yeah.
So, point of order,
Go ahead.
we've always had separate contracts.
Yeah.
For the different groups.
Right.
And we've accused ourselves for the appropriate contract that we're tied to it.
Absolutely.
It would be similar to the town manager coming to us with one omnibus contract for every department. And police couldn't, well, I have no wife's a police officer, so I couldn't vote on that, so they wouldn't recuse. But now you're saying I can't vote on the whole, I can't vote on any of the contract.
That's my interpretation because we're voting.
I respect that, and I get that, so if that's the case, then I would this way recuse myself from voting on this year, but next year I would highly recommend you put it back as individual
When
contract.
did you give us
So-
a chance to explain it?
Actually, if I may,
Go ahead,
I
Chris.
don't necessarily want to take it from the superintendent, but when we went through legal review this year, one of the things that was pointed out was that statutorily for the school, it's basically you are appropriating that sum. And so we've always apparently processed collective bargaining agreements similar to how we have the town. But by statute, this is actually the proper way that we should be doing it. So it's not something that the superintendent and or I decided to do this year. This was something that going through that legal review and the way that the law is written, we have modified it now to comply with the way that the law is written.
So up to this point, we've been doing it incorrectly, is what you're telling me.
According to town council, yes.
The new town council that.
That was the old-
first year?
It was the old town council that was just replaced, summarily dismissed for,
No, they're still with us.
okay, so they'll be with us, but yeah.
Well,
Do
I guess
town
here's the
meeting.
question I ask is, then why didn't this come up?
Previously?
Yeah.
That was gonna be my question.
The other part of that is that, as you know, all the articles from the warrant go to the attorney general. And I've never heard any complaint about any of this, so I understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, I'm just saying that it doesn't make sense. Surely over all these years, we would have been chastised or said that our actions were illegal if we had been doing something. But I understand why you're doing it, and I don't disagree. But I would also say that we have the ability to file with our supervisor or
Yeah.
the AG or whatever, a disclosure. Not that you should have to say disclosure that your wife's a parent, but you know what I mean? And if you do that, then you can vote.
We do disclose.
Right, so if you're disclosed, then you can vote.
Don't get voted.
If you're gonna do about this, we can disclose, but we couldn't.
But that's why you disclose.
Okay.
This is new, I understand that
Yeah,
if you.
no, if today I cannot vote for whatever it is, I just, like I said, for past years, we've always voted on each individual
Yeah,
contract.
We get it.
Where we get, we get it, Mary, saying this is different.
In my opinion, and my thoughts is I will not discuss anything on the para, but because it's a bottom line, including 7 contracts, 6 contracts, I'm not gonna give up my right to have a vote regarding the amount for those other 5. Because that power amount is such a small part, the whole bundle.
It's up to you guys individually.
Yeah. You have to make your own choice.
Yeah,
I get it. Very much.
thank you.
Thank you. And we certainly thought that this might initiate some questions because it is changed. And to your point, why hasn't this been done this way in the past? I do think that there was a different set of eyes from a legal standpoint, because last time we did this was 3 years ago, because the contracts are up for a year. So this isn't anything that's done annually. And we did run it by our labor council as well, to just confirm, because it was a change. And she too also spoke with town council, and did affirm the fact that this would be the more appropriate way. And the explanation provided was because it's the school committee's authority to tie funds to a particular area in the budget, whether it be personnel or services. And so when you're voting contract by contract, in theory, the intention is to vote this amount for paraprofessionals and this amount for teachers, for example. And that isn't within town meeting purview. Now, all of that said, so we adapted to this recommendation, and all of that said, I just want to be clear, the change is only about the vote and is certainly not about the presentation or the information that we share, because it's important to us.
So, Mr. Chairman, through you.
I know.
That's fine. But if we're gonna listen to all these at one time and then have to vote them, why are we wasting our time? Let's just vote the number now. Because we're not gonna actually investigate and find out what's going on. We're gonna have one number to vote and let's vote it. Just wasting my time.
I hear what you're saying, but we have to hear.
No, but these shouldn't be an omnibus on this. We vote every single line item. If they didn't have all the contracts signed, we vote individual contracts.
That's.
We're not doing that. It's a waste of time to go ahead and just say, we're gonna listen to just this presentation and then we're gonna vote. No.
I see your point, but we still have to hear.
That's whatever.
I know, thank you.
I'm gonna go on all of them, just so you know.
Okay.
Well,
Because this is worthless.
and my hope is that at least there's a solid understanding of where every dollar in that bottom line goes. So I appreciate your time. First, I just want to provide a brief overview of the process for our negotiations, and then I've just got some highlights for you for what specific agreements were that we arose at with our unions. It is not all of them. It's not the exhaustive list, because you would be here all night, and I will be brief because I understand you've got many articles ahead. But to get us started, so our school committee's negotiating team consisted up to from 7 to 10 members, depending on which team it was. We had 2 school committee members on every negotiating team. And again, we negotiated 6 contracts this year. So it was a very, very busy spring, summer, and then even into the early fall. Myself, I have Lori McDermott here with me. She's the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. This is year 2 for her. And then department directors. So for example, when we were negotiating with the custodians, we had Sean Bartlett, who is our Director of Facilities. We had our Director of Human Resources, Director of Finance, our labor attorney specifically for BFT, and BFT are the paraprofessionals and teachers, because those are the larger units. So having the attorney at the table was really important. We had a principal representative, as well as This year, we had 2 finance committee representatives. There's an asterisk there because so Phil was one of them and spent what felt like every waking moment with us, right? It's a long process for many hours. And then Dave Gagliardi as well. And I know during, midway through the negotiations, he no longer was on finance committee, but through discussion with him as well as with the union, he had already been underway. He was a valuable resource and we kept him on for the remainder of the negotiating. In terms of the union negotiation team, we had for AFSCME, which is the clerical, custodial and cafeteria union, they had the state representative, the local president, and then around 5 to 8 members of the bargaining unit. For BFT, which are teachers and paraprofessionals, they too had the AFT. So BFT is Billerica Federation for Teachers, and AFT is the state. We also had our BFT local president, the vice president for teachers, the vice president for paraprofessionals, and then a medley of teachers. That's in quotation marks because they aren't all teachers. Those black bullets, some of them are nurses, but they're under the teachers' contracts with the
Can
teachers.
you make that bigger?
It's weird to say, I'm maxed out.
Yeah. Better, there we go.
You're hired.
Don't take a Rob's place.
Then we had paraprofessionals on the BFT negotiating team. And each session, they also had what's called silent observers. That's other members of the unit, and we had up to 130 members in one given unit. And they're sitting there, observing, and then when they caucus, they are sharing input as well. So that's something that has become much more popular throughout the state over the past 5 years. So from our perspective, it was great to have more people understanding any sort of why that we have and seeing the process firsthand. So I do want to mention that every contract is different. There was a question that was asked of me recently from a finance committee member about what is the percentage that you went up. And there are no 2 percentages that are the same. The reason being is we take a look at that particular job and we compare it to the surrounding area districts. So sometimes there might be a union or a group of employees who are more at the higher end, in which case they would get less of an increase. And then others that are not very competitive, and we want to make sure that we get more competitive. So their adjustment was more. And so each one was looked at very uniquely. So moving on to, now I'm just going to slide for each of the units. And when I say units, I mean each union. And just some of the highlights, but you can see all of the detailed information in the full contract, but the highlights of what was changed in the MOUs, which are, I think were sent to you probably last night. So for the custodians, we have a 3-year contract. That's this current year. All of our contracts were up this current year. So everything that we've implemented and agreed to is retroactive to July 1st. And then it goes through FY28. The COLA increase for custodians, it was a specific monetary number, and it ranged from 40 cents per hour increase up to 75 cents. That's about a 2% to a 2.85%, depending on which step you're on. We have 10 senior custodians, and they receive a differential above and beyond the base wage because they are organizing and running things and overseeing the other custodians in their buildings. So that went up by 0.25%, that differential. Our longevity increased by $50 per year. The custodian contract, they used to work half days on Christmas Eve, and those were paid days. So the custodians no longer have to come in on Christmas Eve, and that will continue to be a paid day. We also added a probationary period of 9 months. So when somebody first gets hired, there is a 9-month period where we assess their performance, and if it doesn't feel like it's a match for the district for whatever reason, then their partnership with Billerica Public Schools is terminated. We also added an evaluation system, and this you'll see time and time again, because there wasn't a method to evaluate performance in the past, and that was a concern for us. We wanted to make sure that we have a thoughtful way and a consistent way to provide employees feedback, support when needed, and accountability when needed as well. So altogether, the agreements that are associated with costs sum to $75,737. Moving on to clerical employees, this also is a 3-year term. The COLA increase is 2.75% in FY26, which is this year, 2.5% in 27, 2.25% in FY28. There were several of our units where the step 1 wage was not competitive at all, and one strategy to help with that is to remove that bottom step so that when you hire people new, they actually get hired on a new step 1, which would have been old step 2. And so we did that for our clerical. They too have an evaluation system that was added, and that tool we're currently in the process of creating with them. And then one other thing that I don't have in here is that we regulated 2 vacation days. We regulated vacation days to TOO because several contracts ago, all secretaries were year-round secretaries. Now, many of them are school year. And when they went to school year in the contract, it doesn't seem to account for adjusted vacation days. So the school year clerks currently, or now won't, always have the same amount of vacation days as the full year clerks. So we capped that at 10, which is the minimum amount. And they also have been able to get paid out for unused sick days. And now part of this agreement is that if they don't use them, they forfeit them if they're new moving forward. We didn't want to harm anybody who's currently working and under a certain system now. Moving on to the cafeteria. Oh, sorry. So the total there is 30,216. Moving on to the cafeteria, for the sake of being thorough, I put this slide in here. It too is a 3-year contract. The wages were specific to a certain amount of dollars. There was a 75-cent increase to the hourly wage in 26, then a 60-cent increase in 27, and then a 2.25% increase in FY28. Here's another case where we removed the bottom step. Similar to what we did for the senior custodians, their pay structure is different, but conceptually, the cafeteria managers will receive the cafeteria. They have a differential, and that is an additional 2.5, 2.5, 1.5 increase. FY26, 27, 28 respectively. Then in their current contract or old contract now, they had a threshold of 32.5 hours per week before time and a half kicked in. And so we increased that to the state law. So we aren't going above and beyond the state law, and that is now at 40 hours per week. Their longevity was increased by $50 each year. And they too now include a probationary period, which they did not have before, and that's of 6 months. Now, again, this is just to be thorough. The total cost for this is $0. And the reason for that is not because they're working for free, but because the food service workers and all the services are paid for out of a revolving account that is funded through revenue, and therefore it doesn't impact the operating budget. So there's no new dollars that we need from the operating budget to fund this contract. Moving on to teachers, we have actually, we negotiated a 4-year agreement for both teachers and paraprofessionals. By law, you can't have a 4-year contract, but that's done by doing a 3-year and a 1-year. So for all intents and purposes, it's a 4-year contract. So this goes all the way through FY '29. The cost of living adjustments for teachers is 2.75 in '26, 2.75 in '27, 2.9 in '28, and 3% in FY '29. Then there was one of the concerns that we had and have had is the fact that there's the evaluation system for teachers to ensure that they're provided feedback, that administrators are able to see them in their art of teaching, for example, and go through this very robust state mandated process. We had administrators who had 40 to 60 people on their caseloads, which is way too many people to do this thoughtfully. So what ended up happening is the evaluation system ended up kind of being a check the box compliance in many cases, not all cases. So what we had said was there were a couple of positions in the contract where they are quasi administrator like, and they have leadership roles. So our ELL, I shouldn't say coordinator, our lead nurse, and our team chairs. Team chairs oversee the special education process of our special education teachers. So we were hoping to have them be able to assist for observations and evaluations. And what came of that was that the ELL coordinator and lead nurse could provide observations that are then used by the administrator for their evaluations. But specifically for the 9 team chairs, it was proposed that they come out of the teachers union and enter into the RICA administrator group. It's called BAG union. So that was something that we explored. We're actually in the process of seeing if that transition could work. Certainly that's kind of negotiating separately with our teacher union as well as with our BAG union. This is something that we're looking just for reclassification purposes, and it would not impact their current job. They work 183. Our other administrators work 210. They would continue to work 183. The goal would be that this is a budget neutral piece because it's prorated to their 183. So it was a creative solution, and both parties agreed that that's something that we would explore. It's just that we need next steps in terms of carrying on the negotiation process there. Then we have to translate and interpret for our students and families who don't speak English. So for those staff members who hold translation certifications, this is the teachers, but it also is the same thing in the paraprofessional contract. Now they have an opportunity to be part of the pool to have a stipend associated with a certain number of hours per work outside of the workday if they want to interpret or translate things that we would be sending to a company to do anyway. And it's always good to get something like this in the contract because then it's pensionable versus if it was just something that we did outside of the contract and didn't name it here, it wouldn't be pensionable. So that makes a difference if it's listed in the contract. We made some adjustments to the ELL coordinator as well as the lead nurse stipends. Those increased in our middle school homework club stipend. I know we're getting really granular here. Decreased. It ended up being a bit of a wash. And the total amount for teachers is $1,044,832. And then lastly, moving on to the paraprofessionals. This, as I mentioned before, is a 4-year agreement, a 3 and a 1 year. And paraprofessionals had 4 groups, groups 1, 2, 3, and 4, with the 4 having separate licenses. They're called RBTs and LPNs. So our nurses who are LPNs fall in that category, and RBTs are registered behavior technicians. Separate from group 4, there was group 1, 2, and 3. And it varied depending on the program or the type of services they were providing. It was a model that was put in, I think, the last contract. And it was a great creative way to try something new. What ended up happening is the lines were very blurred between who's a group 1 and who's a group 2. So we ended up merging them back. So now we have 2 groups. What was formerly groups 1, 2, and 3 are in a singular group. And then there's the group still for RBTs and LPNs, which we didn't touch. So once we did that merger, then the wages got an increase of 2.75% in FY26, and then 2%, 2%, 2% for 27, 28, and 29. Those individuals who were used to be group 3 paras in the old model, they are working in our specialized programs where students are much more heavily impacted, and so the physical demand of the job is much greater. So we are giving them a $750 stipend above and beyond their base wage. In doing that merger, it was actually relatively easy to do because the rates for each of the 3 columns were the same. They were just at different levels. So a particular rate in group 1 might have been down toward the bottom, and in group 2, it was more in the middle of their step scale. And so we consolidated that and made sure that those who were in step 3 weren't going to lose any funding, certainly going backwards. So there was a little bit of a reshuffle, and we came to something that we are all in agreement and look forward to implementing. I think it'll be much cleaner. Moving on to the next. We also had an evaluation system put into place for the paraprofessionals. That was something that currently we don't have. It doesn't exist. So we're working on developing a tool, but the system is now here, and we will start doing evaluations for feedback and support and accountability moving forward this year. I already went over the multilingual staff or opportunity for translation and interpretation. And then the total cost for paraprofessionals is $289,426. And then our Billerica administrator group, these are our assistant principals, curriculum coordinators, and there are a couple of directors that are in this group. And this one's much more straightforward in that it's just a 2-2-2. It's a 3-year contract. They get 2%, 2%, 2%. And the total cost there is $48,777. So this last slide just shows everything I said all in one table. And that's all the details I have for you tonight.
Wow.
That's good. And how long did it take you guys to do all that?
Well, we started in March and we just finished like a week ago.
Bill's has been looking exhausted.
That's why.
Sleeping on
We did it to him. And he's seen this 110 times.
Table, there's a bed.
And at some point, I would love, doesn't have to be here, to hear feedback about that. That's something that I had done in my past experience with having town partners involved in this. The school department is, I know, the biggest single budget of the entire town budget, and it's important to me that people beyond just within the school see fully under the hood and how things are going. They offer insight in terms of the town budgeting, which is incredibly helpful. So I found it to be very valuable, and I hope to be able to do it again, unless the people here say, don't ever sign up for that. There's a lot of hours.
I will make my statements when it's my turn. But I concur what you're saying. Yeah, both of you saying. Before I open it to the floor, I'm gonna ask a couple questions first. It's to Chris. Are we paying any of year 26 by way of free cash?
No.
Year 29? is only, is that part of the 1,488,000?
No, the
No.
1,488,000 is only for this first year. After, in FY 27, 8 and 9, we'll just build it into the budget,
Oh, okay.
the future costs. So this is just to get us through this year. I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you. That's what I needed to put. Bill, we're gonna have you go first. What do you think?
All right, I concur what both of you were saying about you learn, you see the old saying, how the sausage is made. It was interesting. It was informative. You don't have to be, I've been a member of the union, of a union still, even retired for 50 years. So you see how it's done. School departments do it a little different than railroad would do it. School, and especially when you have a lot of people coming in, observing, that's unusual. In fact, I never heard it before here, but you listen, I was involved, as was Dave, the former chairman, in the caucuses, and you listen, and you learn, and you see, in essence, the power of politics between our side, town side, and the union side, what they're trying to do on both sides. Ask.
No, that's,
Oh, okay.
I wanted you to go first because you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into the, the double secret promotion type of stuff, but no, that's not. So, anyway, one thing that, to answer the question about the budget, I believe you guys have already built in the steps.
That's correct.
So the steps, meaning, if
Yeah.
they don't know,
Right, so one thing that was predictable was everybody who was on in the prior scale that we've been working on for FY 25. We knew that if they were on step 5, they would go to step 6. So as we built FY 26, which is what we're living in now, we had already advanced everybody up. So in doing that, the cost now to fund this contract for these contracts for FY 26, it is the additional costs that weren't predictable above and beyond.
and the idea also behind it is, if we decide to go in the future, 3 years from now, if the office still there and you're still chairman and everything else, if they were looking for 2 people, whomever you want, you can choose, you go and you learn. Initially, you may not know all the players, then you get to understand everything after a while. That's it, and it is informative, and you see what occurs. Now, questions on my own. Full disclosure, cafeteria. My mother worked for the town of Billerica. Cafeteria worker, started at the old toilet, ended up at the Kennedy School. And I noticed it's 0 because it's the revolving account. What would it cost the town? Do you happen to know what the cost to the town would be if the revolving account was not there? I guess.
I wouldn't want to guess.
Okay.
I've got the cost of each item.
Okay.
But we didn't pull it together because but it's something that I should have for town meeting in the case that question comes up.
Wait a minute. And by the way, these 2 young ladies, among others, they must have been up 24/7 with numbers. Because every time you talked, both of them would come up with these numbers. You know, like this, they were doing, and David, you're like this, trying to figure out where you got the number. And it was something that you guys had talked before the meeting or whatever you decided. But you must have been sleeping. It was like an account, first of all. Secondly, I noticed in the cafeteria, you moved it from 181 to 183. What was the reason behind that?
Oh, for days, the number of days that they work. There were 2 half days of school that they used to not serve food at all, and now they do. So many, in the cafeteria especially, many of the language changes simply reflect what currently exists. So there's nothing new next year to this year, even though that language changed. And so it just reflects how many days they come in.
Okay, thank you. And the bank union is not part, they're the administrators in the school system, but they are not part of the BFT. They are part of the Massachusetts Teachers Association, different union. That must have been that way to to split them? To keep them from being in the same unit, and you have one being so-called boss and the other one being rank and file?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Thirdly, so I never understood what's on any of these unions, not so much the teachers, but the custodians, the clerical, the cafeteria, and maybe bank too, but what's the reasoning behind longevity? The reason why I asked this is I understand where I work, you had night differential, you had weekend differential. I understand that. I understand stipends. If you're doing above and beyond what you required to do, you get X, Y, and Z. But what's the reasoning behind the longevity?
Yeah, it's just an added incentive to get those employees to commit to working in Billerica.
Do other towns have the same thing?
Yeah.
I know they.
Yes. Yep. And all of our adjustments that we made were to make sure that we're still within.
That's it. Other than that, I think, you notice I didn't ask any questions about the teachers. That was still secret, Mike, the secret, the teachers and the paraprofessionals. I'm not allowed to, you know what I mean? And believe me, there were times when someone would ask me a question off the, off the property, and I say, you go, nah, can't say anything. But anyway, thanks.
They both were like sharing. Thank you for doing that for us. Bill.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for going first too.
Believe me, it was a pleasure doing it. I mean, I did. It was interesting that I learned, because I've seen what my people did. But my people, the railroad, but I didn't know, I've never been involved with the teachers, especially public unions. But anyway, if you're offered, take it in the future.
Hey, Jim, did I skip you before? You had your hand raised for something.
I don't even remember anymore.
Good. It never happened. You're next.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. I have sat on the negotiating committee one time, so it's a lot of work, and it can be emotional, and it can take a lot out of you. I'm glad you got them all done. I just have two questions. So I think it's kind of obvious in some cases what their gets were, what their bigger gets were. What would you consider your biggest gets?
Well, I think, sorry? Yeah, I think, well, evaluations, whether it be additional evaluators for the teachers or evaluations in the units that we didn't have any mechanism to formally evaluate performance. And so as a result, quality may have varied from time to time. And so it's important that we make sure that everybody has, clear expectations and has the support they need to make sure that they can be successful at their job.
Last question, and this was asked of me today. It's related to me. They said in the current financial environment, how will these contracts affect the district's ability to provide the level of education that we've been accustomed to, especially when we're trying to still play catch up from COVID?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be an impact.
Right. Well, I think what we have worked hard to do is within reason and incrementally make sure that we maintain competitive wages. And that doesn't mean, which certainly, at the beginning of the process, sometimes the numbers that are thrown out there would price us out of industry standard. But through a lot of collaboration and communication with the groups, I think making sure that it is not a disservice if you so choose to be a teacher or a paraprofessional or a cafeteria worker. It's not a disservice to want or to be here in Billerica. And so as a result, in again, the longevity we spoke about of making sure that we've got quality people, we invest in them and they invest in us back. And I think that these contracts do that. It's a very difficult climate to negotiate, and you may know that and see that from turning on the news. And I think that these are wages and increases and agreements that I think we can all feel proud of.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Jim.
Right, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So just first of all, on the article, I'm not an attorney, but I don't really like how this is, but I do believe this is a mass general law and I don't see us being able to vote individual contracts in the future. I think we've been doing it wrong in the past. And my interpretation is this is how it's supposed to be done. I'm not saying it's the best way to be done, but that's my interpretation. Second of all, thank you for putting these together. These are great contracts. They look better than ones I've seen in the past. I just have a few concerns about some of the unknown costs. Specifically, I think the para substitute premium. There's not really a cap. Some of these things, there's not really a cap on the number of days, right? So how do you predict that? And then similar to the teachers missed prep pay, you know, how do you cap those dollars and how did you estimate to work that into this number?
Yep, so the teachers missed prep pay is something that has already been in the contract. So we've continued to work that into our system, so we understand I mean, it's basically law of averages, and so you use your best information to make the best projections you can. In terms of the para substitute, we have to provide subs if a teacher, for example, goes out. So our substitute costs are $90 a day, but the long-term sub is $120 and it can be $160 depending on credentials of the long-term substitute. So we took into account the number of people who are typically out on a long-term leave and then what we would pay for a substitute to then design what makes sense and what we were able to agree to for the substitute para pay if they cover for teachers.
Right, but it's a $70 increase though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, not increase necessarily because we would otherwise be paying a separate person outside of the district to come in and do that substituting.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's just because some of those unknowns, I might do a script, but I might think in the future, you might even want to think about more staff just because it's more predictable than, you know, because you never know from year to year how many people are going to change or cap the number of days that, you know, an individual will substitute. So those are just some of the unknowns, but overall, I appreciate it. You did a great job in the contract, and I think it's more beneficial than ones I've seen. So thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, anything from you?
Absolutely, but I'm being very cautious on how I'm gonna present this.
Be kind.
So thank you very much for your presentation. But in deference to that, I disagree with what the town manager said about voting these. I will be voting no. I don't think that we should be voting these as individual. If we're gonna start doing this, then why don't we do the ambulance, the fire, and the police all at the same time as well? We take each contract as an individual contract. We don't lump them together and then vote for the bottom number. So with us going forward, I want to see the Mass General Law. I'll get with you, Chris, on sometime this week, so I can find out all the rest of the information, because I don't like this whole process the way it's going. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome. Thank you. John?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One quick question. On the evaluations, which I think is a real good thing, and for the record, I think the percentages are pretty good as far as raises and such. I know I saw all the positive benefits of having the evaluations, but from the employee side, and I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say this. Are there any disincentives for all the employees or any of the employees who would get a less than satisfactory evaluation?
Yeah, I think for some people, it's gonna feel, most of the individuals that we spoke with were embracing this and people like feedback, good or bad. And then, sure, for some people, I would imagine that this is going to feel like a less welcome change, but from a management and quality control point of view, it's necessary.
I guess what I was getting at is, do these evaluations be used if it comes time for promotions or positive transfers and things like that, or or is that not part of the deal?
Well, we don't do merit pay, but custodians, for example, when there's a, opening for what's called a senior custodian, so a head custodian, because say somebody retires, then the junior custodians can go out to bid, and there's a point system that they bid for it to try to get that, promotion. And one of the things that we have in here is that your most recent evaluation has to be at least proficient in order to be considered for that. And so that would be one example where that would support a promotion.
Would that be the same for teachers that might want to try to get into administrative roles or?
No, those are disconnected and not tied to one another because it would be leaving one union to go into another one. So they wouldn't be tied to one another.
All right, I gotta ask a follow-up then. How do you determine who's going to move up the career path on the teacher side then?
Well, we have a robust interview process, so anybody can apply. And we would take those who have the credentials, the proper licensure. And then we have a committee with different stakeholders, bring them in and do some interviews. Typically multiple interviews. And the beauty of that is that we know somebody's body of work, and that can either help them or it may provide us some insight to say this might not be the right match for this particular role. So it's nothing more than, in that case, additional insight to help us understand who's the best fit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. Mary?
My first question is for the town manager. And that is, what is the funding source for this, where it says go to raise an appropriate or transfer from available fund?
Shouldn't be the transfer, it's tax money.
Strictly raise an appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. The final I'm looking at, so. And, Dr. Cleary, I thought longevity was taken out of the teacher's realm years ago. Or is this just the people who were already there then? Or do you offer it to new teachers?
The longevity increase, I do not believe was for teachers.
I thought they had discontinued longevity in all of the different.
No. We didn't add any new longevity that didn't exist. There were,
Shocked, because I remember distinctly when Frank Antonelli was here, he stopped longevity way before the town did. So I didn't realize that somehow it came back.
yeah, I don't have the background information if it left and came back again, but there was no new longevity incentive brought back into this round of negotiations.
Okay, it wasn't to new hires. It would stay with the people who already had it as a benefit, but it stopped for new hires.
I can't speak to it.
And I wish I could remember what year it was, and Marion's trying to tell us something.
I don't know if I can speak. I was told I can't, I have to wait, but I could give you some background on that.
Perhaps the chair.
Would that be okay?
Thank you. A favor.
Thanks for the school committee for coming tonight.
Yeah, really, thank you.
So in 2007, that's when there was an issue with longevity and sick leave buyback and a few other things. They did not cut longevity. What they cut was the sick leave buyback. So starting in, if you were hired after August 1st in 2007, you no longer got sick leave buyback, and you can no longer carry the amount of sick days over that you used to. They actually never cut longevity from any of the contracts. What came up was that they were asked, and for a long time, it was granted that we would ask for no raises on those longevities. So it just went up. I think the first time was the last contract that they asked for longevity, but longevity was never cut out of any of the contracts. All they cut out in 2007 was the sick leave buyback.
Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you. That sick leave buyback was a giant number back then.
Yeah.
It was huge, yeah. I really don't have any other questions. This all is very, very complicated. Done a lot of great work and I'm impressed. Thank you.
Larry.
Thank you for the presentation. I sat on many a negotiating team when I worked with the state with NAGE. I remember that silent majority behind the negotiating team made sure that when you went to caucus, their opinion was given to the negotiating team. So I'm used to that. But the evaluation, we kind of talked all around it. Is there any part where it becomes a negative? You use it towards dismissal of the individual? Does it have to be, how many?
So for the new systems that we put in place, we said if you're not meeting proficient, which means needs improvement rating or unsatisfactory, you're put on a performance improvement plan.
Okay.
And so then that's much more directed and more frequent check-ins. It's for a specific duration of time. At the end of that duration of time, the hope is that there's been enough support and focus on that area or areas of concern that now you're back to proficient and you can carry on. If that's not the case, then somebody else.
That was gonna be my follow-up, a remedial plan if someone did get not proficient.
Yeah.
Okay. You said there was 10 senior custodians?
Yes.
So what is that, 2 at each of the schools or?
No.
So it is 1 at each school and then the high school has 2. So it has a night senior and day senior, and that also includes the rank as well.
Okay. The clerical, you mentioned, year long, I guess, and school, yeah, how do you determine which is which?
Yeah, so all of the elementary schools went down whenever the change occurred, before my time, from full year to school year. So all elementaries are school year.
Yeah.
And then at the middle school, each middle school, they have 2 secretaries. One is full and one is school year. And then at the high school, it varies depending on the position. So it was just making the determination from a position point of view, who do we need to continue throughout the summer, based on their roles and responsibilities.
So elementary is basically all school year, middle is half and half, at high school, it's a smorgasbord.
Yeah, it's a mix.
Okay, now, let's see how I can phrase this and keep myself out of trouble. On the town side, when they hire an individual that needs licensing for something, they kind of work with that individual to get that license within whatever the time frame they need. Is there a program where you have a teacher that needs to get the license, that there's some type of support system to help them get that?
The expectation is teachers who are hired have a teaching license. There are times where we might not have candidates that have, that are properly licensed, in which case we can bring them in. If there's one of those individuals is selected and there isn't a qualified person that is certified, then we apply to the state for a waiver, for a 1-year waiver, and then we can hire them. And within that year, they have to take or complete the either coursework or tech.
But that part's on their own.
Yes.
The school's part is just getting the waiver, the rest of it on the individual.
That's right.
Got it. Thank you.
Doug.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. A couple general questions. One is this presentation going to be presented at our meeting?
Yes.
I'm not sure if you might want to include the head counts for each of the groups.
Sure.
Like X number of teachers, because that always comes up. Everyone always, hey, how many people does this affect? And
Yeah. And I do have those numbers here if you're interested, but I can certainly add them to a
I
slide.
think it would be good for the presentation because town meeting you'll get 1,000 questions about how many people is this.
Okay.
In general, I mean, everything looks good and I'm glad you kind of explained what town gets out of it versus the union. I know it's a big balance in there. Do you feel that these contracts make the Orca School Department a more desirable place for people to come to work? I'm not sure how we compare to other districts. You see all these districts going on strike and fighting for the wages, you know, a lot of scuttlebutt around and the thing we have a really good school department. I think you guys do a fantastic job and I'm just want to make sure we are competitive in hiring the right people. Because if teachers or any of the staff feel they're not competitive, they're gonna go elsewhere. And I see it in the fire, see it in paramedics, that's a big, and so I know the town side has been pushing very hard to make the wages competitive. We gotta balance, because we gotta make sure we keep we don't break the budget, but, do you feel that this makes these bargaining groups competitive now with other districts?
I do. When we ran our comps, we, the towns that we used were Dracut, Tewksbury, Chelmsford, Burlington, Bedford, Kingsborough. Did I say Wilmington already? No, Wilmington.
Yep. Okay.
And so we did surrounding areas, and there's certainly variation. Bedford is a different animal altogether. Burlington with its commercial is different. But the reality is they're right next door and they touch Billerica. So our people can go there. So even though those tend to be on the higher end, we had some other districts nearby that were on the lower end to kind of average it out.
Yeah.
So to be fair, we looked at the towns that are surrounding us that I think.
I just, like I said, is, you know, you want to make sure that we hire the right people, we hire the best people. The evaluations will help, making sure we do that. I understand the question on the stipend for the paras for covering for a teacher who's out. And I believe years ago, they used to do that, I think, and there was a stipend added to their pay to cover for a teacher who was out for a certain period of time, and I thought they had pulled that back. But maybe it's back again, I guess.
Cyclical, apparently.
Yeah, it's, well, because the one thing that came out of that whole thing was there's paras who might have the opportunity to do more coverage with teachers versus other paras who are in programs that don't. So that's kind of an inequality, and then they took it all away, so there was no one got it. And maybe it's kind of going back, I guess, is what it sounds like in the contract, but I just want to make sure, like I say, we feel comfortable that we're still competitive, that, you know, we keep our teachers who are the cornerstone in educating our students, who invested heavily in a beautiful high school, and I look at the awards and the accolades and the programs, and everyone's doing a really great job, and just want to make sure we don't lose some really good quality people, because they're like, oh, I can go next time over and make $50,000 more or something, but as long as you feel we're gonna be competitive, and we just want to make sure these contracts kind of cover that a little bit, so.
Yes.
I guess, I mean, and other than that, I would think just adding, how many people are in, custodial contract, the other things like that, I think would be kind of important, just to put a head count with the number type of thing.
No, that's a perfect suggestion.
One more question, I missed it when you explained it, is why the teachers and paras are going for a 4-year versus 3? What's the rationale?
Well, the process, as Phil knows, and certainly Mark and Marion, who were part of that negotiation team as well. It is a very time-consuming process for everybody involved.
For those
And
groups.
for those groups, yeah, and 3 years comes very quickly. But also, doing all 6 on the same year is difficult too. So this now breaks up our cycle so that in 3 years from now, cafeteria custodians, clerks, and the administrators will expire. And it won't be till the following year that then we can focus on the teachers and the paraprofessionals. So it was great to
Makes
get them
sense,
off
yeah.
cycle too.
It's kind of like leasing equipment. It's like.
There you go.
spread it over
That's
3
right.
years. And they're the biggest contracts and they're the biggest numbers, and I can see where you want to spend the time and effort and not lose it in the crowd, I guess. So that makes perfect sense, but, and that might be another good talking point to town meetings, so they're not seeing this some nefarious thing going on with this stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I can vote for this or not, but thank you for your presentation. Thank you. Jen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation. I want to follow up with Doug said, because I had written on my notes, like, how many people does this cover on every page? Because I'm new to this and I'm not actually paying attention to the total numbers before. So I do think that information is helpful. And then my only other question was in regards to stipends. I wasn't exactly sure what the stipends how they're used, how they're applied? Are they automatically paid to the person who qualifies for them?
Which stipends are you referring to?
So if you look at the paraprofessionals, you've got the 750 stipend for paras who work with students requiring more intensive support.
So those stipends are for paraprofessionals who work in certain specialized special education programs. Our most impacted students in terms of dysregulation and behavior or medically fragile, for example. So the students who require the most amount of support in the district, they're in sub-separate programs, and paraprofessionals who are working in those programs would get the $750.
Is that the lump sum payment they get for the school year?
Yes.
For use however they need it, or just their stresses and dealing with this type of circumstance?
It's a more demanding role, and
Okay.
so yes, it recognizes that.
Okay, I didn't know if it was meant to purchase something that specifically for themselves or equipment or anything along those lines. That's what I was trying to clarify.
No, it's additional pay. It's additional pay for them.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Jen. Sharon?
Thank you. I don't have questions beyond what has been asked, but I just want to say the level of compromise that is evident in all of this, we all could take as advice for how things should be done. I appreciate all the evidence of the give and take that happened. And I think that officials around the world could benefit from witnessing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Dr. Clay, real quick on the custodial.
Mhm.
Year 26, 27, and 28, what's the percentages on those?
So they vary because, I've got it here. They vary because the amount is a fixed number of dollars or cents. So a 40-cent increase on $28 is a higher percentage than a 40% or cent increase on $32, for example. So it's anywhere from 2 to 2.8% for each step. And that's over the course of all 3 years. So so our custodians have 5 steps in total. And going from, did you want specifically 26 to 27?
In 28.
Okay, so if you go from 26 to 27, actually, all years follow the same pattern. For step 1, it's 40 cents. For step 2, it's 50 cents. For step 3, it's a 60 cent increase, then 75 and 75. So what does that equate to? For step 1, the 40-cent increase is a 2.22%. Step 2, the 50-cent increase is a 2.09%. Step 3 is a 2.26%. Step 4 is a 2.54%. And step 5 is a 2.71%.
Did you come up with the percentage? I'm not use my calculator. What's the bottom line? All the steps together is what percentage?
So the average of all steps together is 2.46 in FY 26, 2.36 in FY 27, and 2.31 in FY 28.
If I put these in a column, it looks like it goes down next 2 years.
It does, and here's why. For all 3 years, the increase is the same. So if we take, so step 5, it used to be FY 25, $26.96. We added 75 cents. So that's a 2.78% increase for step 5 from 25 to 26. Then we stuck with the same amount, 75 cents again. But now that 75 cents is on a higher number, so the percentage is less. So in year two, instead of 2.78% for that fifth step, it's 2.71%. So it does go down because the base gets higher and the number that you're adding on is the same.
Okay, again, if I look at all these contracts, 26, 27, 28, each year, all the contracts, looks like they go down.
Well, for teachers, they don't,
Well, on average, if I average them out, the budget looks like it's gonna go down. Well, maybe not, because
no.
the money goes up and then.
Right, that's right.
That was the truth.
I wish, yeah, no, no,
I would love nothing more than to come before you and say, guess what?
my fuzzy.
New math, Michael.
Last thing, if I look at this chart you have here on the final warrant, page 13. Again, where it has the year 26 amount less the cost of step progression. But the term, you've got a 1-year price for the term.
Yeah.
Of the year 26, but the term has 25 to 28.
Right.
Some people might question that.
Okay, that was just showing the term of the contract, but the amount associated is mentioned. Sorry?
At the end of it.
It is mentioned about the additional year right beneath it.
But not, but right, these are just the first year.
Yeah, it's how this table's, it says 25 to 28, but then
I
at
see.
the end it has just 26. We're talking about, I get it.
Yeah,
Town meeting someone might get up and ask that,
okay, good to know. Yeah, thank you.
and that's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the finance committee recommend Article 8 as printed in the final warrant.
Second ad nauseam.
All those in favor? You guys are voting. That's good. All right, so we're 10 to 1.
Thank you.
Was
Thank
the one,
you.
sir?
You think?
Like I said, I did believe I needed to myself because of this.
Okay, we're on to the county.
Well, so I have Sean Bartlett, Director of Facilities with us. We've seen Sean present this to you before. Fortunately, what I think you'll see is will feel very routine to you. A lot of it is the big work that we're looking to do, and it's broken down in chunks by each year. So we come back, a lot of this is kind of reoccurring requests, and you're gonna find that to be the vast, all of it, one of them.
Yeah.
One of them. Go ahead, Sean.
So this is the capital improvement projects for 2026. So this is our list here. So we've got the master list here. Our total is 985,000 that we're looking for out of all of our categories. So I'll go through each one of these as we go through this slides. So the first up would be the Dutel, Kennedy, Pitson, Haja pavement replacement and repair. So we're asking for $90,000 for this. So what you see here is on the pictures here. So this is the behind the Pitson School at the top and behind the Kennedy School there. So we'd be budgeting to potentially do 2 of these projects. So the Dutel front pavement, the Ditson playground area, that's the top right. The Haja teacher and the Kennedy back road. Well, what we would do is pick the two pavement spots that are in the worst shape first, and then it to be depending on the budget that we come in at. The next up is the Ditson Elementary. This is the replacement of the fire alarm panel. We're asking for 125 for this. Right now we have a Simplex 4010 panel in there right now. So we can still get parts for this, but it's starting to become harder and harder to get parts for this, and we are limited on how many companies can work on this. You have to have a special license to actually work on this panel. So we'd be going with a notifier panel that we have in the rest of the district so that we can single stream parts as well. Next up is the Dutal, Kennedy, Hajar schools, the replacement of ceilings and lights. This is similar to the project that we did last year. So at the Hajar, we'd be replacing our 2x4 ceiling tiles that are beginning to sag with a 2x2 style, which you see, you don't see it in these pictures here, but it's similar to what we were doing in the district. What you do see in these pictures here is the T8 and T12 lighting. That we would be changing out to a new LED lighting at the Kennedy School this year. Next up is the Dutal, Kennedy, Marshall, Lock and Hajar abatement and flooring replacement. And we're asking for $350,000 for this. This is the abatement of the floor tile at these schools, and then we'd be replacing the flooring. So we've started to replace the flooring with a LVT product that comes pre-finished, so there's no longer use of wax on the product. Next up is the Ditson and Lock Gymnasium floor refinish. This is similar to our project last year at the Dutal, Kennedy and Parker School. So what we would be doing is sanding all the way down until the wood, replacing any wood that is beyond repair. So there's a couple of pieces on the side of the lock that we'll be fixing, and then recoating and putting in all the game lines. Next up is the exterior door replacement across the district. So right now in mind, we have 3 buildings that we have issues with doors. The picture you see here is our Hajar. So the Marshall looks similar to this. It basically, you can't see out the doors anymore. They're starting to warp and they're just beyond repair. The Dutal gym doors are just steel doors similar to the ones that we replaced last year at the Hajar and the Ditson. And next up is the technology upgrades for across the district. So this will be updating our intercom systems in the schools. So at some of our older schools like the Dutal or the Kennedy, these systems are pretty much obsolete. We have a guy that will still work on them. He is fabricating his own boards. So we're looking to start to replace this stuff. We're also looking to updating some more cameras, adding more coverage across the schools, in our larger areas that are open to the public. And then the finishing off the remaining building car access systems. And then next up is the Ditson Parker playground repairs. So this would be adding in turf areas, similar to what we did at the front of the Parker School this year. So over to the left side, you have the Ditson kindergarten playground. So we just added, I'm gonna botch it, I don't know what game it is, but it's a basketball type game. We just added that to the kindergarten area. We can't grow grass there. There's too many kids out in the 2 spots. On the right is the Parker School. We try everything we can every year to grow it, and there's just too much play on the surface. So putting in the turf, it's I believe a 10-inch product. So after we put all the substrate down, all the material, we'd just be replacing the turf after 10 years, which will limit the cost. And next up is the Marshall Middle School. This is the front entry, not the side entry that we repaired last year. So this is for $50,000. So what you're seeing here is starting to show the New England weather. So our cement is starting to crack, starting to heave. So we grind it down. We try to do the best we can to repair it. But this would be doing something similar that we did to the Marshall ramp, where we put almost like a traffic coating that you see in parking garages on it. So it reduces the salt penetration into the cement. So it reduces all the stuff that will, harm our cement and our stairs. And try to be quick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's open the floor. Sharon, you're gonna go first. What do you think?
So I know there's a capital plan of many projects. And so these are the ones that this year chose as the most dire.
Yeah, so with the capital plan, the feasibility study that we go off of, most of this stuff was laid out with us in 2012 as well. So we've been continuing on with our new feasibility study, which still lists some of that stuff from there. So we've just been going off of that you know, lack of better terms, I use it as my Bible, so, yeah.
And were you looking to be around $1 million-ish dollars? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the funding of playgrounds and such, are there, contributions made by the PTOs or anything like that that help with some of these costs?
Yes. Yes.
And each school makes the decision on how the PTO funds are used, and so this kind of filled in every other gap that's left if there's not sufficient.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I understand that there's a question about the lock overall, and that it might at some point need to be placed, in full. The costs you're incurring now, are these just to get us through a couple of years until full decisions are made on that, or?
So I would say yes. So this is something that we're doing just to continue on with. So the kids are in the school, like, we're just continuing on with our projects as an everyday practice.
Every time we talk about putting some improvements into the lot, we do weigh that out. Even if we did end up moving forward with a project, it wouldn't be for another 7 years. So that is such a long road. So we make sure that these costs make sense for 7 years versus doing a whole new roof system or window system. We probably would shy away from that at the Lock School for that reason, in the case that the community does move forward with them.
Okay, I'm not questioning that all these things need to be done for all the schools. I'm not trying to like add not the law or anything. I think it's all critically important for the children and the safety. So I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure I understood some of the nuances of that. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for your presentation. I see we took a tour of the lock even. I think we saw a lot of the good work you guys do already with cleaning up the floors, the lighting. Lock's got a bigger problem, you know, facades falling off, which is kind of not a good thing. When you talk about things like fire alarm panel replacement, how many other schools in the district need to have their panels replaced?
So this would be our last one.
Okay.
So we've all been upgraded to the notifier systems.
Yep.
Off the top of my head, I don't know when we started, because it was before my time when we started to when we finished, but it would be a panel swap out now. So instead of going out replacing all our devices and whatnot, it'd be a straight panel for panel.
So this is, for the distance, this is the last one, so
Yeah.
that means you're all on the same system, like you said. And when you talk about card access camera, I know that's been an ongoing project for the district, have, you know, getting close to having all our door accesses under the same setup. This sounds like it's replace cameras or add additional cameras.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, some of these are typical maintenance, other ones are like, you know, rip out the door and you're good forever, pretty much, and I don't see a problem with any of them, so I'd love to see, okay, we're done, like, I'd love to see you come back to us and say, hey, we're done with the abatements, no more, you know?
I am hoping to cross some schools off my list soon.
Yeah.
So
Are we looking at, I mean, I assume abatements, asbestos,
yes.
are we, any clue how much we're done, how close we are to being done?
So for the Dutel for an example, that's our closest school right now. This would finish off our classroom areas.
Yep.
And then we have our cafeteria that was tiled over. So that would be our last spot with asbestos tiles.
That do time, what about other schools, are they done, are they not?
So like, I don't have the percentages for it, so like the Marshall has 84 classrooms, so we did the hallways first, so we're starting to still do the classroom, so off the top of my head, I don't know how many is there.
We're still gonna see abatements for
Yeah.
years to come.
Yes.
It's fine, it's just tough. It's always good to know when you're done.
Yeah.
Same thing with the lighting and so forth. That's all I have, but I don't see a problem with any of this. I mean, we're a pretty big district, a lot of schools, a lot of capital expense and this are maintaining it. You don't have a fleet of vehicles, but you have a bunch of schools that need yearly work done to them. So yeah, I have no problem with this at all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Larry.
Thank you. I keep thinking of the Dixon as new, and then I can think back to, was it last year we did the control panels at the Dixon because they were obsolete.
Yeah,
And now we see the fire,
yeah.
you know, so it's not really new anymore. But having said that, I think when you showed the paving, there was 4 projects that was on the list
Can you say that again? Sorry.
on the paving. I think there was 4 projects.
Yes.
So you went for 90 and said that would probably take care of 2 of them.
Yes.
So if we kind of just do the math, why didn't you go for another 90 and just fish them off since there were safety issues?
So potentially what we're trying to do is also do repairs at the same time. So we would do complete replacements first, and then the leftover money, we would do repairs and then potentially come back next year for additional money. For the 2 that we wouldn't be able to do, or however the numbers come in.
But why didn't you kind of figure and ask for that money now to get it all finished?
So
Not do repairs.
yeah, we also work with the town side to figure out what's an appropriate balance.
Okay,
And
so-
much of that came.
Okay, so
because-
basically you're saying there was a cap on the amount of money, yeah.
Well, it made.
Yeah, Chris is shaking his head, yes, okay.
It makes sense to stop at the, you know.
So that was the short answer.
I think Larry's advocating the blank check.
No, I was just saying.
I love that, yeah.
No, I was just saying, you know, 90, when you look at everything you're doing, really is a small chunk. I was trying to find out why we just didn't wipe out those 4 altogether, not do repairs, then come back to paving later. But Chris shaking it, yes, there's a cap, and that was part of the cap. So there's my answer, there was a cap. Just like basketball, yeah, get off the second apron there. Thank you.
Mary,
I'm not gonna ask any questions. Feeling up to it.
good. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a well thought out and responsible budget. You know, you treat it like most of us treat our houses. You know, you look up the roof saying, well, that's not leaking, so I can hold off on that because the furnace just stopped working in February 2nd. You know, you're prioritizing well, recognizing that you're a part of the town, not, you know, anything above and beyond that. So, I'm gonna vote for it. Thank you. Thank you.
John? Patrick, anything?
Yeah, actually, I didn't quite catch, what was the funding source on this?
Funding was. Free cash, this is capital free cash. The contracts.
Okay, so that's all I had. Thanks, Luce, for answering my question.
Thank you. Brian?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Sean, great job as always. Just a question, because some of these always like look the same to me. Are all these new projects or some of these like phases, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3?
So they're all different phases.
Okay.
So, basically, you know, I think we're on like phase 5 of some of the abatements, so they're all different phases.
That might just be helpful to see one time, because you know, and you do so much, like a status report or a progress report, I think would just be great to see. So that's my only suggestion. And then just one question, just my own identification. Now, some of these with multiple schools, do they get bid out as one project? Or is it like per school?
So it gets bid out per project.
Okay.
So like when we go for, like abatement for the schools, it'll be bid out as a package. So the abatement would be bid out as a package, the flooring replacement will be bid out as a package. So they are separated, so the abatement's one package and then the flooring's separate. So typically what we do is we go off of last year's, like how we get our numbers, we go off of last year's numbers. So we try to gauge it the best we can, so we don't go overboard with the numbers when we go out to start removal, we start budgeting that.
Perfect. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
All right, great. Jim?
Thanks, Sean, for your presentation. And yeah, to Brian's point, I do think it's important to stress that these projects are not new projects. They're a continuing of phases throughout the district of projects like the flooring, the lighting, the ceiling panels. You inevitably hear that, well, we did this 2 years ago. Why are you coming back for more money? So I think it's really important to express that these are phases.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't have any questions. I'm happy to see us continuing to put money into the town's assets and into maintaining them for too long. In prior years, that didn't happen. And there's a plan here
And each year you're coming back for more and you're keeping up with our buildings as best you can with a blank check. So I really appreciate the work that goes into the buildings. Thank you.
Well, I concur with Brian and Jim. I think it's a good plan. I know Jen had talked about the Lock School and its future, but hasn't there been talk of the Lock School in the Marshall? Of combining, having one central? Wasn't that talked
Yeah,
about?
so unofficially, if we move forward with, we're gonna get kind of the blessing of the select board to move forward with a statement of interest, that we do this April. And we can start the conversations throughout this year, but it's not really until you're in the queue. If they approve after April, we find out like next November or December if we were to submit. At that point, if they say, yes, we accept you into the eligibility part, that's when we start talking about the different models. So one of the models is consolidating middle schools on one of the sites.
The reason why I brought it up was everybody's concentrating on the Lock, but it could be a Lock in the Marshall, because they're about the same age. I think what was built in what, 65, 66?
65,
Well, the law was 68.
yeah, 68, Marshall was.
70, yeah, they're like 2 years apart.
Late sixties, early seventies, okay then. My only concern is, you had mentioned the doors. You said the doors are they can still close and
Yes,
open?
yes.
So in case of a fire or somebody breaking in? or-
Yes. Yeah.
And on the district technology upgrade, it says update remaining building cards access systems. When I read it, my first reaction was, probably shouldn't ask it this way, but I'm going to. Are there outstanding cards that are MIA?
No,
No.
no.
We can disable them.
Okay.
So even if we can't, we collect them, but let's say somebody leaves and doesn't give them back, we can disable them from our system.
No, when I read it, that was the first thing I thought of. But with everything going on, that we don't need to work in the news for that. Thank you, Murray.
I'll recognize you if you got something real quick.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Real quick, if you want to make it real quick. Nice. Got a question?
The quick question was, within the budget that was passed last year, was it 85.5 million?
Yes.
Okay, out of that budget, do we set aside a certain amount just for capital improvements?
That's, no, we go to this, through this capital project for capital improvements.
Okay, so that's, money's not set aside for that.
No, we don't have a budget for big capital projects.
Okay. Oh, and just quickly, do you guys, when you do the work for the capital improvements for the schools, do you get 3 bids?
Yes.
You do.
So we go to, through the bidding process, so through the procurement process.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. Larry brought this up. It was in the back of my mind too. The fire panel at the Ditson. What panel did we replace last year?
So it's still Lock Middle School. So we put a no fire panel in that school.
There's nothing at the Ditson.
So that was with the, fire pump. So different, so they tie together, but that is a different side of the system.
Fire pump.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So that, for that capital improvement project, it was fire pump panel or I believe fire pump. So we did a ton of work to our fire pump and then we put a new board in our fire panel. Not a fire pump panel, sorry.
Someone might bring this up at town meeting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that too. When was the last time the Ditson or the Lock was resanded, the gyms?
The Ditson has never been sanded down to the wood. To my knowledge, I have people in the district that have been there since it's been built, so for 25 years, it's never been sanded down. So when you go there, you can see the yellowing and the white. It's almost disappeared, it almost blends in with the wood now. The Lock, same thing. I don't have anyone in the district, and I have guys in there for about 40 years. They don't remember the last time it was sanded down to the wood.
Okay.
You just made me feel very old, Sean.
Yeah, years with the Ditson. I'm sorry. And then just to speak for like the Dutile School, so that's the same thing. So that one was one of the ones that we just did this year. To my knowledge, it has been probably about 50 years that it's hasn't been sanded down to the wood.
That's next.
Yeah.
The turf.
Mhm.
Is this like AstroTurf?
Yes, so it's like, so if you go to our Parker school, so it's not the same turf that's on the football field, it's a little bit thicker. So it's more, you know, it's not like, it's not the football field turf, but it's a little bit different than that. So it's a little bit thicker than the turf on the football field.
What about using real grass? Turf. Roll it in.
We've tried, so we don't have irrigation systems as well. We've tried to plant our own grass with loam, with seed, with what, you name it, and you have to keep the kids off until it really sets in, until it roots, and then once they go on it, it just all dies.
What about the turf? It's already grown. You roll it in.
So same thing, so it's similar to what happened like in our quad area at the high school. If it doesn't root correctly, it just dies. So if you have that much foot traffic on it, it's just going to rut, just like it's doing right now. So that's a problem, like when we have our kids out in playgrounds, there's a lot of kids out all at once. So it's not like 30 kids or 40 kids like when it was back when I was in elementary school. It's like the entire kindergarten class is out there. It's a lot more kids out there at once now.
Thank you for the presentation. John?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend Article 16 is printed on final warrant.
Second. All's in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sean, we're gonna see you in November.
I think so. I gotta convince the wife to go soon, even though she was on the way, but we're still like. Have a good one.
We've got the emails. Did we discuss it? What did we discuss?
Yeah. So,
What's that?
We discussed,
We just do a vote.
no, yeah.
So on this next article, this is the second half of this article. We already
did the second.
voted on cap for the DPW. This is two different funding sources, by the way.
Yeah.
Chris, you have the-
Thank you. I believe, some of this stuff was discussed, at a previous meeting where we did talk about the ambulance slightly. However, there were some questions. I believe that when, this committee was meeting with the chief and thinking it forward, provided an opportunity to, discuss or ask any other questions, from about the ambulance. And so at this point, I'd be happy to answer if there's any additional questions regarding moving forward with what we're proposing, which is new ambulance.
Doug, you wanna go first? Go ahead.
Thank you. What was the total cost for this new ambulance?
We're asking for $420,000 to use from free cash.
That's just for the ambulance, not the Arctic Cat, which we voted for. Now it's coming out of the general budget.
Yeah, the Arctic Cat would be coming from the wastewater retained earnings.
Yep. For that. I just forget. Free cash, 420, by the time we get it, it's probably gonna be 5 years from now, so we gotta get it in the queue right away.
It'll be a couple of years. That was in the warrant for the final warrant. You'll see that there's some information regarding the fact that where it currently sits for mileage and where we're anticipating it'll be by the time we actually get it.
Didn't we just bring along?
Yes, we did. And that was placed, that order was placed 2 years ago and we just received it, I want to say in April.
Okay. This is to replace the second one that. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. I just wanted to totally, we're coming out of free cash, which I assume we can already got the tally sheet going.
Sound good, right?
Jen? No questions, thank you.
Larry?
Yeah, not really. I understand we do this every year or two, get this such a flag, forget it, and sitting over at the police station just in the one morning during the weekend, you can hear the calls they have going out. I am surprised there's not more mileage on it. So, yeah, I'm all in favor of it.
Barry?
I think we already discussed this.
Oh, I wasn't there.
Yes, you will. Then I can share.
Oh. No, we didn't discuss the entrance.
No, yeah.
Discussed it, yeah.
Yeah, it was all part of. We discussed the Articat,
Yeah, but we also
but the
discussed
police
the theory
was
of
gonna talk about the invoice. You guys wanna talk to the walkthrough.
Done. Same argument that we had for the one we just got.
Yeah, we already talked.
The discussion and the reason why hasn't changed from the last two that we got.
One question. What's the model vehicle we're looking to get?
It's an F-550 chassis system. Very last time we discussed it.
Thank you.
It's mentioned.
Like pink Floyd.
Just to say, his models,
Little big.
but I know that's not the question.
All right, so if we're not gonna talk about it, unless someone has a dire need to speak.
So
Admit this.
just a reminder that and I think you're right, you're voting on the whole article. We talked about the Arctic Cat last time, but we didn't vote on it. But I'm just reminding you.
We remember.
Because one was for what the Kubota or whatever it is for running around the compound. The ambulance is, what's it, it's 29, right? Was it 29 that is supposed to come? That's our estimate. Yeah.
And it'll be
Is that
2028, sorry, 2028.
28.
Yeah.
But we expect to deliver it on 29, right? Is that replacing one that's online right now?
Yes.
And we're gonna take the other one off and put it in reserve?
Right. Did it.
Okay, John.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend Article 15 is printed in the final warrant.
I'll second this.
Well, I'm gonna give that to Pat. He's on a roll to. All those in favor? Lots of unanimous.
That's been going in favor of lately the last
Yeah.
couple of meetings.
Tell them to stop too.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. Mr. Chairman, yes, we spoke about it.
You bet. Thanks for reminding me about the.
Yeah.
September 2nd.
Well, I saw that and I saw that I was absent. I was like, no. I text you on that one. Went to the open phone.
We'll make sure we fix. Thank you. Police headquarters, Article 17.
Yes, Article 17, I know that the chief provided an opportunity for the committee to report the facility, so happy to answer any questions. Ultimately, what we're asking with Article 17 is to use $640,000 of free cash to continue on with that project. People may recall that last year there was funding for a feasibility study in the police department. The purpose of that study was to kind of evaluate the police operations, possible growth of the police department, look at the current facility to see whether that space could be modified to accommodate the police. It was determined that it could. There was a couple potentials that it provided. What this funding will do is actually design and come up with the actual plans to renovate that facility, and which would also provide us a better estimate as what the cost would be to move forward with the renovation. Happy to answer any questions.
Hopefully we don't have too many. Any at all. John.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Finance Committee recommend Article 17 is printed in the final warrant.
Second.
All those in favor? 10-0. Patrick wasn't here to say no.
He went on the tour, he probably would have said yes.
Yeah, right, probably, yeah, probably.
Yeah, he was saying yes all lately, so we'll see what
Said this twice.
eye opening, isn't it?
It's horrible.
Isn't it?
It's really, really is. Oh.
Okay. On to Article 5. Transfer from stabilization to debt service.
Yes, this is to authorize us to move $1,350,000 from the town's debt stabilization fund to fund debt service.
Any questions on this?
Agenda?
Agendas? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Article 5.
Yeah, read my brain.
I'm sorry.
So we'll get you. I know.
Sorry.
By the time it's 17.
Yeah.
Jen, give us a question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just a little unsure what exactly is being funded. What does the debt service budget pay for? How is it?
Yeah, so, the select board had adopted, this is part of the debt stabilization policy that we have, and what this mechanism is for is we, on our annual operational budget, we budget an amount to fund our debt service. But and I know you're new, but I think some of the other members might remember, the high school, when we built it, that was a debt exclusion. And to kind of keep that impact to the residents, under $40 a year. So, and that's the mechanism being used, that part of that debt payment that we have to pay every year. We take it out of the stabilization fund, so we don't have to build it into our annual budget, which goes to the tax levy. Right, so this is kind of that savings stabilization, and every year we transfer that money over to our budget to pay for the debt, so it doesn't hit the taxes every year.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
That help?
That did.
I know you knew, it's kind of,
Yeah, I know.
it's confusing when
it
you first
is.
get here.
I've listened to it at town meetings some, and I'm not sure I ever fully understood it, so maybe I better understand it now that I'm on finance.
Well, before we open this up to Doug, Red Sox won.
3-1. Thanks, Doug.
Oh, you can see taking.
My mom's exploding. My wife-
Said you. Sorry.
My wife said they joked. that
21st century. Can't
Basically,
say
Yeah. He's got recording, he's basically on home.
Oh my
Kevin
God.
just wrote on once and struck him out. Hey, get home today. So I've been-
Told me they wanted it. People said,
Yeah,
next time you need to say no spoilers.
Sharon, no questions for you?
No.
This is normal business practice and I like the idea we continue doing this because it helps, alleviates the load on the levy and it's big. Extra money, throw it in the savings account, and so use it for a payment. What don't worry, so yeah, I have no problems.
I agree, I like what you're doing, just out of curiosity, the vote from the select board. I was gonna say. I don't know if it was unanimous, but it passed.
Yeah. Very.
They all said,
Nice.
seriously, it's a good policy. It's worthwhile, and we have to remember that we have to keep raising what we have to do.
I'm on board with this, Chris. Stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if you were somebody who didn't believe in it.
Yeah, right.
If you had a different debt service policy.
Why we hired
I'm sure he was grilled.
Just for your edification, Chris, this is what's known as hints, but,
Right, just a quick question, so I believe the select board set a policy of this, is this their policy, they want this amount every year, or is this?
No, this is the former town manager's policy. that
Yeah,
They
right, that-
supported.
Right, that the board supported, okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all, that's all.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on, because I had this conversation with John before, on having a percentage instead of a fixed number?
Well, I think percentage, and it's a little bit tougher because our debt changes, I mean, because of what's kind of going on from fiscal 25 to 26, we haven't brought on any new debt. And the three major projects that we have, the three of them, DPW, the fire station and the rec, they're still in the building phases, right? So this number will change. But I think it's easier to have a flat number when, if you look at a debt service budget, right, you know what you're gonna pay every year. And so it's easier to kind of come up with a still figure rather than a percentage, because then, you're kind of second guessing, you might be a little bit over, you might be under. And this is kind of like giving you an exact figure to say, hey, if we put this much in, like, it'll cover us for the year.
Thanks. Jim, did you really plan on going home, what?
By the time we get out of here, no.
Any questions on nothing. Phil? Nothing at all. I like your explanation. It's easier. Thank you. John?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend Article 5 as printed on the final one.
Second.
Very.
Oh, I'm not getting hang one on that.
Put her hand.
All those in favor? Unanimous. 10 yes.
Okay.
Let's pull Daniel.
Can it go? Can we go get him?
Daniel. Go once, go twice.
Move the question.
Yeah.
Saw Larry in the Red Sox score earlier.
Losing us. And just for the record, previously, the team that wins game 1 is 12-0 for winning the wild card series, so. And they won 3-1 Red Sox. You're 10 years behind.
That's good.
You should have said you go to the West Coast audience.
Hopefully that puts you in a good news for these two articles.
All right, so before us, we have Article 32, it's a charter amendment. We know there is, you have the floor.
Thank you. So Article 32 is a charter amendment. What it would do, it's pursuant to the section 213 of the Oregon Town Charter. Section 213 is the referendum process. So in short terms, if an article passes representative town meeting and there's a group of voters that object to it, they can petition to get it referred to the voters at large, and then the town voting population will be able to decide. The requirements, it's a thorough process. It has been used in the past decade or two, a few times. And it's, a great thing. It's a way to have direct democracy in our representative system. So if things don't quite work well, the voters can only have a say in many decisions. Under the current wording, articles sent to the voters, referred to the voters, are determined by a vote of the same proportion of the voters voting thereon, as would have been required for the matter to be adopted by the representative town meeting. And the problem with this wording is that it creates a loophole or an article that requires a 2/3 vote at town meeting, even if it passes overwhelmingly with 2/3, 90% at town meeting. If it's referred to the voters, and even if it gets as high as 65%, it would still fail the voters at large because it doesn't meet that 2/3 requirement. What this proposed amendment would do, it would make it so that all referendums are decided by a simple majority vote. So regarding if it's a zoning commercial article, a zoning housing article, bond authorization, appropriation, it's referred to the voters. At that point, ultimately, the majority gets to say. If a majority 51% say yes, it passes. 95% say yes, it passes. If 49% say yes and 51% say no, the majority rules and it fails. This provision is standard for the majority municipalities in the state that have referendum procedures in their charter. An example to look for, if you're interested, is the Reading Town Charter, section 215.3, and for the city charter of Framingham, they all have their referendum process in their charter. Simple majority vote, and even in other forms of direct democracy in our state, state referendums. When a state law is referred to the voters, it's a majority vote. When a state ballot initiative is referred to the voters, it's a majority vote. When a state constitutional amendment is referred to the voters, is sent to the voters, it's a majority vote. And same thing with Prop 2.5 overrides and debt exclusion. It's never a 2/3 vote to the voting population at large. So this would standardize those same democratic principles to our local referendum procedures. At the Rules Committee, a member did make a point that I actually haven't thought of before, but I think it was a valid point, that what this could also do, besides
the principle of making it so a third can vote down the overwhelming majority is that if someone is in support of an article that's being referred to the voters, if they know it's such a high bar, that could create voter apathy. What's the point of voting if it's gonna destine the value if it gets 55% or 60%? And I think that's another way to look at it on why it's so important. And also, another issue that I thought of was that in Massachusetts, it's legal to pay people to get signatures to get on a ballot or to get an election papers for a referendum or an initiative petition at the local and the state level. So given that's legal to do that on a salary basis, wage basis, paid per signature basis, someone who, has a few $1,000, $10,000 and vehemently opposes an article, they could kind of just pay for an election. And as long as it doesn't have, and as long as they can get a third of the people turning against something, they can strike essentially any article that requires 2/3 of town meeting down. And ultimately, if this were to pass town meeting, it requires a 2/3 vote at town meeting, but it would still have to be ratified by the voters at large. Ultimately, this is a decision the voters will make. All town meeting will be voting is to send this to the voters for them to make the decision. And the main purpose is to prevent those situations where a small minority can overrule a large majority. We have different projects coming up. Police station, that's going to require bond authorization. I don't want after hundreds of thousands, millions in investment already for that to be struck down at the last step because there's someone who is not for it and is able to get the signatures, and then only a small minority, even if the majority is in support of it. We have the school department has in the future interest in doing some school projects, and as we know, those process takes years and years. So if millions of taxpayer dollars are already invested, it goes through the whole process. And only that last bond authorization vote is sent to the voters, and this situation happens, I think that would be very unfortunate. And just to provide some context, when the debt exclusion vote happened for the high school, passed overwhelmingly by the town, 90%. But that vote, as I said previously, was a simple majority vote. If someone were to vote the actual bond authorization to vote and move to refer that to the voters, the last final bond authorization after the debt exclusion passed, that would not be the simple majority. That would be again the super majority of the voters at large. So it's this weird dynamic that's in our charter that I don't see it really serving its purpose quite a way. And just to provide some context for those who've been on FinCom for a few years, I first presented this a year and a half ago to this committee. I presented the 2024 spring town meeting. I'm not sure at that time the optics may have been a little off because there was a referendum that happened at that point. But I mean, that Senate referendum that happened, even under this bylaw, still failed. It's still didn't reach some majority. So I get how those optics could have been seen at that time, but this is really thinking of big picture, the standard, the principle of this matter, not individual projects, and not that specific project at all. The article at town meeting at the time, short of a few votes of that supermajority, but after the town meeting, there were some members that I've spoke to that had some misconceptions that they said that they would have, if they had that additional information, they would have changed their vote. And then given the fact that town meeting can change and the demographic and dynamics and membership of town meeting has changed since that last time, I thought it was worth bringing it forward again to see if town meeting would have that full support so we can send it to the voters and hopefully get their approval. The finance committee at that time did recommend it, and the rules committee has also recommended it this time around. A couple weeks ago, there was a meeting, so I just asked for the recommendation of this committee. And if you have any questions, one thing is actually, if there were multiple questions that were asked for me about some of the legal questions, whether or not this is legal. Town council has issued an opinion. If I quickly,
You have a team.
you do? Okay, so that, okay, yeah. Oh, I have it right here too, actually. I got it in my, I just want to make sure this is that the original. Is that
the one that came out?
the panic? Was that, what date is it?
That's the informal, right? That's,
That's what?
I believe there are follow-up questions on that, right?
There was the second section.
No.
Yeah. I can just read off what I'm referring to. So this was a email to the select board secretary, Don McDowell. This message will confirm a telephone conversation on Tuesday, September 9th, regarding some questions on Article 32 in regards to the quantum of vote question. In my opinion, if an article requires a 2/3 vote at town meeting, it can legally require a majority vote in a referendum procedure. This is referring to the questions on whether this changes the vote required at town meeting. That's not true. Bond authorizations will still require 2/3 at town meeting. This is just in the case that an approved article is sent to the voters, then it would only be a certain majority. So it doesn't affect any of the state laws. That it is right here. Doesn't affect the requirements in chapter 44, section 7 for 2/3 vote for bond authorization. Doesn't affect certain zoning requirements that require 2/3 vote for an article to be approved. To incur debt, it would still require a 2/3 vote at town meeting. That's not changed with this. And then the other, I guess, legal question was in regards to the process. And it was suggesting that the public hearing is required for this. That's for a different way to amend the charter. This is under section 10A. The section 10B version requires a hearing, but this only requires a 2/3 vote of the town meeting and then a majority vote of the voting public. So I just wanted to address those concerns that were had by some people prior to that, just in case those questions come up. But other than that, I appreciate the recommendation from this committee, and if you have any questions regarding this article, I'd be happy to answer them.
Daniel, I just wanted to tell you that at the Charter Review Committee meeting, the chairman, Bill Green, our longtime town, state rep, he said that it's illegal. It's a violation of Mass General Law. So we're gonna get an opinion from the new legal team.
Last time, he, at the last town meeting, he addressed some legal concerns prior town council. Mark Rich addressed those concerns, they did not apply. Our current town council has approved of it, so they.
Okay, I'm just telling you, if, and what, are you available to come on the 8th to the Charter Review Committee?
But yeah, I can.
Okay, that would be great. So we'll have that further discussion there. You will obviously have our own discussion here, but I just wanted to alert you that that's what you're gonna hear when you go to that meeting.
Mary?
Yep.
Did he specify why or which statute he's relying on?
No, he did not, but he was very clear that it was not legal. So
Changing this way?
This way, he said.
Thank you. I know at the last town meeting, his concerns were related to chapter 43B, section 10, which is the state law that requires a 2/3 vote for bond authorization. And those concerns were addressed then, they were readdressed now. So unless it's a different concern that wasn't addressed,
If you come to that meeting,
absolutely, yeah, we'll be able to have that conversation.
that would be great. I personally, not as a member of the Charter Review Committee, but it makes sense to me to do what you're doing. But if it's illegal, I don't want us to do it. So I'd love to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I mean, people can.
No, you did your research.
Yeah. And town council has approved it from legal merit in their, they answered those questions, but also prior they had an updated legal opinion on it. So they have no concern about it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think they have a concern about the town meeting part of it. But his point is that if after that, it has to go to the state and they would determine that it's not legal. So I don't know that they addressed the problem that he, but I don't want to speak for him, mainly because I have no idea what exactly he's talking about. So if you can come, we can have that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. How about Jim?
Come on.
Jim, guess what?
No, man.
Jim was gonna watch the game, Daniel, when he got home.
Yeah, but Donald ruined that for me. He's allowing you to get some extra sleep, so that's how.
I was trying to be transparent.
Thank you, Daniel, for your presentation. You know, I was in favor of this before, provided it's legal. I believe it is, but yeah. You know, this is just basic. I mean, this is, a referendum is a vote on whether you agree or disagree with the actions of town meeting. It shouldn't have to have a higher threshold. You're just basically saying yay, that's what the referendum is. And that's what this is trying to change the charter to do. So I'm all in favor of this. Thank you. Right.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, thank you for bringing this forward. I think in theory, it does make sense, especially, I mean, the referendum, getting 20% out is so hard to achieve anyway, and it's rare that it happens. I do have concerns whether it's legal for borrowing. I do not, I still think that you would need a 2/3 vote at the polls. So for that, not because in theory that I that in theory I hear that I'm just based on my research, I don't think that it's legal and for all articles. But if there could be some sort of amendment where it says legal for whatever, you know, for whatever can be approved via majority, I would support that. But as it's written, I'm not convinced of the opinion. But I thank you for bringing it forward. In theory, it does make sense. I'm just, you know, can't vote yes on it based on that.
John?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any reason why you didn't look to modify that portion that Ryan just brought up about needing to have 20% of the total number of persons registered to vote? To me, that seems to be the silliest part of this, from the standpoint that I don't know what the percentage was in the election that you won, but I mean, it might have been less than 20% of the registered voters that voted. But in order to get this passed, you have to get that 20%. It doesn't make sense to me, at least. If this were to be adopted, then if a town meeting vote took a vote that required a 2/3 threshold, and they got the 2/3 threshold, then somebody could, if this passed, put in a petition and get it on the ballot, and then only 50% would be needed to overturn the vote of town meeting. Is that how that works?
Sir, I'm sorry, can you?
Okay, I know, it's,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it, yeah,
I did.
okay,
So something where a bill at town meeting that requires a 2/3, and it was sent to the vote, yeah, you can't do that.
okay. Town meeting takes a vote on a warrant article that requires the 2/3, so let's say borrowing, just.
Yeah.
And the vote passes by they get the 2/3, the warrant article passes.
Yes.
Somebody wants to now get the petition and set up a special election to have that vote overturned.
Yeah.
So what they're voting to say is, no, don't do the borrow. If they get 50.1% of the vote, then that town meeting vote has been nullified. Is that correct?
Yes, so if they were to be referred to the voters.
Right.
A question asked to the voters or specifically a question formed into the affirmative. So basically the same question that was asked at town meeting. So a yes vote would be to approve it. A no vote would be to not approve it. So if that were the situation where it was an article approved by a representative town meeting that required a 2/3 vote and received it, referred to the voters, and then under this proposed amendment, if that were to be effective, if 50% plus one vote yes, it would pass. If 50% plus one vote no, it would fail. So the voters have the option to say yes or no.
Okay, but the threshold is lower than would be to have that same vote at town meeting. To pass it at town meeting, I need 2/3.
Yes.
Okay,
Or those required.
all right.
Yeah.
I just feel that, you know, because we all, the town meeting representatives, and that, and they spend, a good amount of time, reviewing and, legislating the warrant articles that come forward, so I think it's the disservice to town meeting to allow the voters at large to be able to nullify that effort, that work, to be able to overturn things at a lesser standard, but that's just my opinion on that. Thank you, and thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Can I address?
Good.
Yeah, so it would be, yeah, so it wouldn't be, just, I think you're on the, you have it right, but just to clarify from the record, for people watching at home, it wouldn't be a 2/3 article is required to pass under the current, like, if, say it passed under for the center, for the example, it were to pass into the voters, it's not, you need 2/3 to go out to oppose it for it to fail. You'd only need 1/3 out to vote no for it to fail currently, under the proposed amendment, it would be just a simple majority vote.
I can clarify, the problem right now is the way it is the, say, town meeting, and this happened, town meeting votes for something with a 2/3. Someone puts a referendum out there, all they need is a third to kill it. Because what it really comes down to is the town with the referendum vote have to do 2/3, which is almost impossible. So what this does, it says that referendum vote doesn't fall under the same 2/3 requirement, it just says simple majority. So instead of the negatives on the referendum getting a third, they would have to get a 50% or whatever it is to vote no on. So it definitely raises the bar. Where right now, I think if it was a vote in town meeting that required 2/3, it went to referendum. Now it's just a simple majority, up or down, yes or no, where I think the way it is now, it has to be a 2/3 positive vote to make that go through. And getting a 2/3 on a referendum vote is almost impossible. So what it really comes down to is referendum, it have to be a majority to vote no.
Yeah, but it's still, if it was 2/3 to pass, the way it is now, it would be take 2/3 to overturn the pass.
So that's how it is now. Take a third.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It would take a third to fail it. That's the point.
Yeah, but it's failing to overturn what town meeting said. If town meeting voted by 67.1% to pass a bond issue.
Yeah.
It would take, right now, 2/3 of the vote in the election to overturn. That.
No, it would take a third, because if the referendum comes up to pass a bond issue.
Right.
With a referendum, the referendum would have to pass by 2/3 to be a positive vote, which means that's how it is now. So.
How it's now.
Yeah, so if we pass something in town meeting that passed by 2/3, someone didn't like it, they went out, got it on the ballot, it's a referendum. All they have to do is get more than a third to fail that referendum.
So then that means the bond issue, but that means the bond issue would stand.
No, it's gone.
I see what Doug
I
is saying.
think it all comes down to how you phrase the referendum question.
Right.
It has to be phrased as.
Yeah, it's the phrasing's required to the affirmative.
But that's what happened before, where town meeting voted, got 2/3, someone didn't like it, it went to a referendum. And the positive vote for that referendum might have been 51%, but it still failed because it never reached the 2/3, which means that referendum failed.
Right, because that was overturned by the voters.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a majority vote, the positive vote on a referendum couldn't make the 2/3.
Right.
And then it failed. And I think all this is saying is, if it goes to referendum and it doesn't follow the same requirement as a town meeting vote, 2/3, it's just a majority that the referendum will pass or fail, is what it really comes down to. I think that's how I interpret that.
So that's exactly, and to your point on strengthening town meeting's decision and respecting it, this would actually make it so you have to have a higher threshold to reject what town meeting did.
I see that, because that was kind of what happened, and
My math still is failing me here, but, and I think. And I'm not saying I'm smarter or not as smart as many people, but if we're going round and round with this, I'm not sure that this is gonna be, clear enough as it's being moved at this point to really overturn or modify the charter. I mean, we usually have what the charter review people, I mean, we struck down revisions that are brought to the floor of town meeting regularly until it goes through a longer process that I gotta admit, I'm not intimately aware of, but and I think part of the reason for that is that I'll just speak for myself. I'm still confused. And I think that that this needs further review. Let's leave it at that.
I'll get my own thoughts, but I'm gonna wait till the end. So maybe I'll hear something that'll shine light on what I'm thinking. Larry.
Okay, if my memory serves me, what the chairman of the Charter Review Committee was referring to is a Mass General Law, and I don't know which one, was that whatever percentage was required for the vote is what has to be the percentage for the referendum. You cannot change that. Is my memory serving me, Grace?
I just texted him and asked him what to give us
Okay.
the number.
So I think that's what he was saying, that you just can't change the percentage number. It's under Mass General Law. I don't know what it is, but that was.
Let's talk about an all-wins.
But, you know, I was one of the negative votes at the Rules Committee. There was multiple issues I had. My biggest one right now is we have a Charter Review Committee. I think this should have been submitted to the committee to be reviewed as a whole with everything else that may come up for the charter, and not be doing this piecemeal on reviewing the charter and making changes or potential changes. So I'll be a negative vote on this. Thank you.
Can I address just the first point about the?
Of course, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, just the legal argument, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, we have the legal opinions, but I mean, this is essentially the same language that vast majority of towns that already have it, have a similar provision, have in their charter. So it's not a novel concept for the simple majority. Reading's charter, it says majority vote for all articles. So, I mean, it's not a new thing. This is essentially the standard for the state, for towns and cities that have a referendum process.
Do you have any other towns besides Reading?
I have those two, Framingham and Reading, those are the specific ones, but you could just Google, a lot of the charters for different towns are similar format, just Google really Bedford Town Charter, and then just Control F to find referendum in there, and you'll find their referendum procedures, and you can look at all of them, and the language is usually the same.
So if Bedford is.
I did not, I don't have, I'll just give an example, so. An example of town, but I do know some of the other, like some towns require 10% voters to sign it, so there's some changes in the qualifications. But overall, I mean, really, I couldn't find a single town that has the way that we have it now. And I don't see how it benefits our town or the voters.
Okay. Jen,
Thank you.
I think Doug already wanted.
I did, so I think.
Okay,
I jumped over.
thank you. In any of your, did you speak to anyone in Reading or Framingham about the success of their language using the similar language?
I did not spoke with anyone in Reading, that I really just brought that up as an example that this exists in other places. It wasn't a concern of mine, as the lawyers have already reviewed it, town meeting. Last year, the lawyers at a different firm reviewed it, they had no issues with it. So, I mean, I'm not concerned about that. Town council will be available at town meeting, they can answer those questions. But ultimately, based on the substance of this, I seek the recommendation, but to your answer, no, I haven't spoke with any Reading.
So I would say that right now, as written, town is overturning town meeting decisions on these referendums. They can do it. I mean, if you look at the town center, that passed by town meeting, by hair on someone's chin. and referendum was brought and it was overturned. So the voters already have the right to overturn it. The question is, how high does that standard need to be? And do you want to allow a minority of the town to overturn the decisions that are made by their elected officials? I agree with this. My question would be the legality of it. I am an attorney, not a municipal attorney. So I would want to specifically look up the section that he is referencing to determine that. But in general, if there's not a legality question, I think this is a common sense, best course of action for our town. Anything you can do to promote little d democracy is in the best interest of the town. These days, you really need to allow people the right to have their voice. And I think that you take that away when you have such a high standard on a referendum decision requiring the 2/3. So again, the legality of it, because I don't know, but I support the overall concept of this. I think it can only help.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make a point. I know there's been some talk about the legality issue. I know I wasn't here for the whole meeting, but what I was, none of the other articles had someone like concerns. So I don't want the substance of this article to be diminished based on potential legal concerns that someone raised that isn't here to address them. I think if there's a vote of this committee, and if that's a reason to vote against it, I think that could reveal to town meeting interpretation or a view of this board that was not favorable, depending on whatever the vote is for whatever you're going to vote on now, as if whatever the way the vote goes, if some of the negatives are because of a potential legality issue that doesn't exist, in the name of fairness, none of the other articles had that treatment. So if those are some concerns, I would request that this committee votes to recommend it based on, based on a pending legal opinion or subsequent to confirmation that it's legal in form, and not vote against it because someone claimed it's illegal. Because I feel like just the fairness and optics of it would put this article at a disadvantage if it is legal, but someone just said it wasn't. And then there's a vote based on that, based on just a speculation. That
Go along with town council is what you're saying.
We don't have a legal opinion. That's.
If I could
weigh in on that.
Hold on one second. Can you do me a favor? Before we move on, can you look up what the cost was for the last referendum? What it cost the town?
So I don't know the exact number.
Oh,
I can't do it right now, but
I have some. I can answer. So it's in, I think, around the 40,000 range. I spoke with Don. This.
Yeah, I think
town
it's
clerk.
57 or 53.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
that's part of my question, but I wanted.
if you're referring to the town center, then I think that's what it was roughly about. It might be a little bit more, but I'd have to look at.
So the next one would be the same or more, most likely.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I just made.
Sharon did get.
Hold on, we got Sharon and we got Phil.
I like that if a meeting approves this, that it then goes to the voters. When I see a petition, I usually sign it because I just feel not even caring what it's about, because I feel like then sending it to the voters to make the decision is what should be happening. And that's, I approve of this and would vote for it, but I also like that the voters will then get the chance to decide. That's my feelings on this.
That's it?
That's it.
Nothing more? Phil.
Yeah, a couple things. John, you had asked for the 20%. Reading has 20%. I'm looking at it right now. Some towns has 20%. Where in Reading? What's the bylaw? I have the chart in front of me. What's the law that you're quoting from Reading, please? I'm also in the chart of the, that's why I'm asking.
215.3, and it says in the words just the majority.
253?
2.15.3.
2.15.3. Okay, then thank you on that. Second of all, you had mentioned that legal said it was okay, but you didn't mention that when the Board of Selectmen was watching it, I believe two of the, selectmen stated okay as to legal form. That was mentioned especially by one. So, you know, you only gave half the story.
So that was a prior, we got addition.
I have to
No. So, yeah. So that,
talk about a new.
yeah, so we, when I read off, that was an addition. So that was
That was the
after
second
that.
one is in Phil's hands, and now there's a third one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which legal?
Now we know why the bill's so high.
We have with KP, are we dealing with the one we just got rid of? We're dealing with.
You sent that to me,
Cause I could play lawyer until that.
Stay all in.
Yeah, I would. Legal counsel addressed,
Which legal counsel, sir?
it's a current town council, which is, Brooks and Durensis.
I was gonna say, just to be clear, right now, the town's legal counsel is Brooks and Durensis.
You know,
Okay.
Well, that's what we have. That's what I have here, the last thing we received.
So that was an opinion on the preliminary warrant that they since updated with, what I was, if I can. They addressed two of the legal points, where the first one was the point regarding whether the two, whether the state law is legal.
That was mentioned at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, where it was stated legal as to form. That's the one I saw. Now subsequently, I have not seen anything. I haven't seen it.
if I had it, you'd have.
No, that's fine. That's okay. I didn't realize it was third. And then finally, I will say, there's a term you used at the very beginning, and I'm gonna vote against it, but I want to see what happens at the charter review along the committee. You used the term loophole. And in my eyes, that terminology, you've already prejudged, as you just told us a second ago, we should prejudge. Loophole, when you hear that, you think nefarious and you think malicious. And it's not a good term to use.
So I use it as, I think, an unintended consequence.
Well, you were saying that what my point for bringing it up is that it's nefarious in my eyes and malicious. And you just told us a second ago that you didn't want us to prejudge something that you prejudged. That's all, that's all.
I would just request, this committee to vote on the substance of the article. The substance of the article, just as it did all the previous ones in this meeting.
I didn't realize there was a third. I did not realize.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Grace has her hand up.
Well, it's.
Can I say
And
something?
yeah, Grace, I'll let you go before I go.
So I'm on the charter review committee as well, and I was just wondering, I thought there had to be a public hearing. There's then a certain time frame in order for this to be addressed. And I don't think that time frame will be in time for town meeting.
That was again addressed by the email.
Can you turn around and get here?
But it says,
Yeah, so I can read it out right here. So basically what that was wrong, that was corrected. If they didn't share,
version of it.
so, yeah. So basically,
Do you have the third version?
The finance committee look at the bill for this article.
I mean, if you're here to vote on the financial impact, I like. Yeah. So I'm like, I want to be fair in all honesty, but I mean.
I do too.
Yeah. So I mean, the legal argument has been addressed by town council. Ultimately, it has to be approved by the attorney general. So if it were to be illegal, even if town meeting were to vote in the affirmative, get struck down. It's not going to go to the voters.
No, we tap on that range.
I don't know what you want me to say.
I'm not saying it. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
It's been factually found out in the past. Am I correct? For anybody who's been at the town meeting over the years, we were told different things over the years and discovered like afterwards.
But to the point about a hearing, town council has said, in regards to the public hearing question, a public hearing is only required if there has been a written request for petition filed with the town clerk suggesting a charter amendment. B, in addition to any amendment proposed via city council or town meeting under subsection A, the town council or town meeting shall consider a vote upon any suggested charter amendment, which it would have the power to propose under subsection A. That's what I'm proposing under subsection A. Subsection B is what requires the public hearing. So that is irrelevant in this.
Thank you very much.
Does it say anything about us, if you're a petitioner, if you're a selectman, putting it in as a selectman?
Yeah, so,
Yeah, that there
so,
is
so,
any
selectmen,
have to do with
Hey,
it.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, okay, this, we're way, but this is not supposed to happen.
Yeah, I don't mind one question, Grace.
Sorry.
Another question for.
Yeah, so just, so I agree with your point in theory, that I agree with that, but we're not being asked to vote on this theory. We're being, this article is being asked to initiate the charter amendment process. Where if we were voting on the theory of it, I would agree with you. But what this actually does is start the process. So I can say that I support the theory, that I don't support the starting of the charter process. Simply because I'm still not convinced of the legality. And at the end of the day, you said it yourself, it's gonna be the attorney general, town council. They're gonna weigh in, and of course, we respect their opinion. But yeah, that's what we're being asked to vote on. I just wanted to clear that up.
Question about town council opinion?
Absolutely.
So this was presented previously, and was that under the prior town council? And did they provide a legal opinion on the legality of it?
I don't believe they provided a written opinion at the time, but all these questions were addressed, or the majority of them were addressed on the floor of town meeting. And he referenced the statutes and the case law on the floor,
So there are two town council now, prior and current.
confirming the legality.
Legality of this language.
That's correct.
So I would guess at some point, I would just suggest at some point, we have to acknowledge people that we've retained as experts. Two town council have said it's okay. I'm an attorney, not in this specialty, and I would listen to the people that I hired. If I didn't like the first answer and I went and got a second one that's the same, they're the experts. You now have two opinions that say the same thing. So I do think that we're kind of going on a carousel ride about the legality of it when that's why we hire town council.
That's not what I said. I said, as he had mentioned, because I can see you looking straight at me. I am not an attorney.
Is that you?
He's an attorney. Let me just say one thing. This gentleman right here made a statement. All right, I just wanted to bring up that what he had said at that meeting with the Board of Selectmen was questioned by two other members of the board, quoting from a second opinion from the current. We never got a third one. We've never had the third one. I think it's and being part of the finance committee, we should have had the third, the fourth, or the fifth. Now, it could contain some money. We didn't know. I don't know. So that's what it is. Now, you had mentioned KP. Am I right?
That's prior town council, and yes.
Right. And what's funny is that KP, people like them, some people don't. The current one, there are many people on this board, among other places, who have criticized them. So I can tell you right now, when I go looking for a lawyer, a personal lawyer, I go on recommendations and then I go online. And if I discover that the personal lawyer that I hired is no good, I walk away, pay the bill, and I've done that in the past. But I don't follow the first or the second one. What I try to do is do the research myself, along with talking to somebody like you. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
I was not looking at you. I'm not trying to blame. Absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm not trying to argue it. I'm just trying to say, because you're not the only one who raised the issue about the legality of it. Ryan mentioned it twice, and so I thought I wanted to clarify how many town councils. So that's my point, is I just wanted a clarification that it was two different town council that said it. And you, of course, have your right to your opinion on whether they know what they're talking about. So I understand. I understand.
All right, guys, John, go ahead.
Hi, just for your own notification, it's chapter 44, section 2. Chapter 44 is municipal finance. Section 2 is limitations and restrictions upon the manner of incurring debt. And it's not a long section. You can read. I don't really want to read it out to you unless you really want me to. No, it's not long. But it does say that to incur debt, it requires a 2/3 vote.
Right.
That's still gonna be required.
Right, so, but I believe that under what you're proposing, if town meeting adopts borrowing a 2/3 vote, somebody doesn't like that particular vote, they send it to a referendum. It still needs a 2/3 vote under the current.
Under the current map.
Under the current mechanism of voting.
That's what I was for. That's what I was.
And you're looking to change it to 51%.
So we're not changing the general law. General law is.
You can't change it.
Yeah.
On the referendum, yes.
We're changing our local requirement. We have, this is how Mark Rich explained it at town council last time. State law has that requirement where you need 2/3 to incur debt. You need a 2/3 vote at town meeting. The town of Baraga places an additional requirement in effect by having the referendum process. The current additional referendum process that requires that same supermajority vote for a town meeting action that requires supermajority. What this does is change that additional local requirement that state law doesn't require to only a simple majority.
That's what I'm saying.
But you can't, it won't be a situation where town meeting could vote 51% but not reach a 2/3 for a bond authorization and it can pass by the voters. That's not what this would do. And that's the concerns that were addressed in this written opinion and Mark Rich at town council.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Jim.
just to simplify it, hopefully. Town meeting is the legislative body, and they're the ones who are incurring the debt, right? They're the ones who are authorizing the debt. The referendum, when you send that out to a general vote, they're just affirming the vote of town, affirming or negating the vote of town meeting. The general public is not incurring the debt because they're not the legislative body.
The taxpayers, they are incurring the debt.
No,
But you mean authorizing something, not incurring, authorizing the debt. I'm sorry. It's getting late and I'm not looking forward to a game. But yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. I don't look at the referendum process itself as, they're just affirming the vote of town meeting. That's all they're doing. Because the legislative body has already voted. You're just giving the public the right to say, yeah, they were right, or no, they weren't. That's it.
That makes more sense. So I'm taking notes and kind of to what John said, and others. We have a representative town meeting, 240 of them that are elected. This is not an open town meeting. Anybody can show up that's registered voter. They voted for us for a reason. They trust us, obviously, to do the town's business. And I think zoning, for instance, we can talk about bonding, but let's talk about zoning a minute. You got a zoning article needs 2/3 vote. Someone doesn't like it. I'm a builder. I don't like that. So I'm gonna get someone in town meeting to do a referendum. Get it to pass. So I can do what I want to do, just regardless of what town meeting voted on. Do you see what I'm coming with that? It can happen. You get some bad eggs out there, they're gonna think like that.
Ken, are you saying a builder that wants to bring an article to town meeting?
No, it's before town meeting and he's hoping it doesn't pass. Or it should, he wants it to pass, and it doesn't pass. Got a referendum. And then it passes. So now he's getting his way. I say his, hers, whoever.
It works both ways.
I know it works both ways, but trying to think of the good and the bad. Still not sure how I'm gonna vote on this, to tell you the truth, because I'm just. Okay. I wanted to make a point with that. The other thing I keep thinking of, and this has been talked about, that this should go before the charter review, before FinCom votes on it. We need more information.
The reason why, just to that point, Selectman Rosa brought forward a charter amendment that was voted on at this election and went through. The Charter Review Committee only meets every 10 years. And the purpose of that committee, from my perspective, is they're going through the entire charter. And if they see areas where they could be amended, changed, or formed, big picture through the whole document, they can make those recommendations into the town meeting. If they want to change Barica from a select board town meeting to a town council, that's like a big picture thing that committee is done to do, and it's spaced out every 10 years. Within those 10 years, there's still gonna be times where it might make sense to make an amendment. State law has that process in place that has been used this past election cycle that I'm using for a very specific, narrow, fine-tuned goal of making it so all referendums are decided by a simple majority vote. I think town meeting and the voters at large are capable of making that decision. I see waiting another year and a half to send it to another committee after we've already went through the rules committee, or at the FinCom now. Ultimately, town meeting has to approve it and the voters at large. That process is already in place. So I personally don't see this bypassing a process. I think there's still a lot of hurdles in place. And ultimately, the people are going to make the decision if this comes to that step. It's not going to be, it's not going to be town meeting. It's the voters that make that decision.
If you have a charter review committee in session right now, it's not 10 years or 3 years waiting, it's in session right now.
So we wouldn't be able to get it on the next. We'd have to wait. Minimum would be a year and a half.
What's the harm?
I'm sorry.
What's the harm?
What's
Why not wait another year? Why do we have to do it right now? So why can't we put it before the charter review?
They'll be voting on it. I'm scheduled on the meeting for next Wednesday. So they'll be able to make the meeting. I just feel like this has been on the radar for a while, for over a year and a half already. I think we should be more focused on the substance of the article and whether this is good policy or bad policy. I believe it's good policy. I believe it's for smallly democratic, letting the people decide on decisions, preventing a minority from overruling the majority in certain decisions. This is just my opinion, not to diminish anything. I think the discussion was kind of swayed towards legality and not substance because, I don't think a lot of the other articles refer to legality. I don't want this article to be treated differently because someone kind of like addressed a concern that has already been alleviated. I would just ask you to consider the substance of this and whether it's good policy or bad policy.
So I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna answer that, but I'm gonna go back to what I said before. The way it is now, I like the checks and balances, the way it works. Doing this would change those checks and balances. It would tip it. It would tip the scale, I think. At least that's the way I see it. There's some people that, I already said my thought on who might want to do something like that. I've got a thought of tabling this and bringing this. We have one more article, by the way, we haven't heard yet. Before town meeting, probably gonna meet the night of town meeting, most likely,
Could you remember which article?
Article 6. We have not heard Article 6.
Did I write back to you?
We do. Article 6.
We have not heard. We have not heard.
I thought I saw tonight. Yeah, I thought I saw something about land bank on here.
That's Article 28.
Well, they're the same thing, because I was hoping that this would already be withdrawn. 6 and 28 are the same. One, every year the finance committee puts forth.
Yeah.
5 or 6 articles. I hate to use the term boilerplate, but boilerplate article, just so town meeting has the ability to vote on things. This year, a member of the select board put in his own article that's exactly the same. So 28 is on our agenda, and I was hoping that 6 would be withdrawn by now.
Well, actually, there's a difference of the two articles, the amount. One's to let the placeholder.
The number is 50. It's been.
Yeah, the.
Article 6.
On 3028, it hasn't.
I was gonna change that.
Oh, okay.
We're getting off topic, but we have to.
Sorry, but I'm hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, so again, we haven't, we still, I'm not gonna go before town meeting and say, well, we don't, they don't have any comment on this because we didn't vote on it. Laura's gonna say, what?
The reason they're all here tonight and they can't both be on the warrant, 6 and 28.
I get that.
Chris, could you help me here? Is there any, is that coming off or not?
I don't believe that anybody's pulling 6 off.
So we could withdraw 28. And by the way, I know we're off topic, just a quick thing on this, I was gonna suggest putting in 50,000 in 28.
Right.
And it ends up being the same as 6.
I'll make a motion because I know where you're going with this. I vote to postpone Article 32 to the next meeting.
It's on it's a thing.
Postpone to the next meeting. We don't want to table it. We want to postpone.
On the vote.
Postpone, yes, great. Postpone the vote till next meeting.
Pending what? Legal?
And
Receipt of the latest legal.
And they-
This is legal.
This legal.
And
Excuse me just one second.
if we can hear from the charter review,
But the charter review won't be until October 8th.
Yeah, which was what we're going here. Are you gonna ask Daniel for a time certain?
I'm sorry.
Are you planning to ask for a time certain for your articles?
No, I'll be at town meeting.
Yeah.
I'll be for the entire town meeting, so.
Okay, so
this will be the 9th.
this will be the ninth then?
So we.
I mean, if you wanna, schedule a meeting on the Tuesday an hour before, I'd be happy to come present to you. I can,
You wouldn't have been through the charter.
That's what we want.
They want to hear
Charter review.
from the charter review committee.
So maybe we'll have you come from Thursday.
yeah, I mean, but at that point, depending on how town meeting, it could be seen, I don't know. You know what I mean by that? I'll do whatever you.
If it flies through, you can just talk
Yeah.
to the moderator.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at you.
I don't see town meeting being one night.
No, yeah.
Look at this night.
Yeah, try to get it moving.
All right, so we'll have a meeting on.
So I've got a motion to postpone the vote. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Ready to
6,
vote
7,
tonight.
8. Into,
I'm opposed.
we're unanimous, except for Doug? Oh, we're unanimous.
No.
No.
They're voted.
No,
Really?
mine was a no.
'Cause you didn't.
I don't know. I'm ready just to end this discussion. Legal is not gonna change it.
You have 2 names.
2 notes, yes.
8-2, yes.
8-2. Okay. Sorry about that, Daniel, but
So I'll
That'll
share.
be 6 o'clock.
I'll share the legal email that I received, and I can even request that town council tomorrow. I can request town council to create a concise legal opinion that incorporates all the, prior opinions and questions.
How much will that be?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what's that?
What?
who seconded that?
John, you did it. Second.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, if you put me down.
You got a question for,
I know it's postponed.
The 9th,
till
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock? 6 o'clock.
I just wanted to verify it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, FinCom before town meeting in the night.
6 o'clock. Beautiful. Thank you.
Ready?
Who seconded that? John?
Brian first did.
Yeah. John seconded. John Rose seconded. Okay, so we're waiting for a couple of things on that. Let's go. We're moving on to 37.
36.
My bad. Snow removal. Still got the floor here. Sorry.
Okay, hopefully we can get this one through. Okay, so this. Sorry about that. So Article 36 is there's a bylaw change to our current existing snow removal bylaw. Article 4, Section 5, snow removal is our snow removal bylaw that has been previously approved by town meeting, creating responsibility and requirement that property owners remove the snow from abutting sidewalks within 24 hours, depending on a storm. It also creates a couple other things. It makes it so that you can't dump snow on people's property, and it has $100 fine for that. So it was adopted while back, we actually were looking to see when it was actually adopted and we couldn't find it. It wasn't a digital record, so decades passed. This is some of the how many. Yeah. And basically, it's important that everyone does their part, making our sidewalks safe and accessible for everyone. For school kids walking to school, for people walking in both winter months, especially elderly people with different disabilities, most vulnerable. I brought this issue up because, this past winter, the Trouble Plaza, days after a storm, big, all snow right in front of the bus stop. And there was someone in a wheelchair just struggling to get to the bus stop. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That it shouldn't be like that. I had a conversation with Clancy Meeting when he was the town manager, though why I'm kind of not enforcing it. And the reason is that the current bylaw, the fine is abysmal. It's essentially a $1 fine. The fine is currently $10. And that's just not reasonable. A lot of people could make the decision that it's worth it to not pay it and to not shovel and just receive the fine of $10. And because it's so low, the town just hasn't enforced it. So what Clancy said to me is that, in order for this to be enforced, we kind of just have to, it has to be increased by town meeting. And so what the article does, it's simply in accordance to that current process with the snow removal that's already in place, the responsibilities already established by town meeting, it just increases the fine to a more reasonable $75. According to the legal opinion, hopefully you have that one. They said it could be up to $300, but we're increasing it to $75. And it's simply making sure every property owner is fulfilling their responsibilities. From a financial perspective, just another point, you could see it as a way, if there's situations where the town has to pay a contractor to remove snow from a sidewalk, it can be a way to recoup that cost through the fine. I received a recommendation from the rules committee, and I asked this committee for favorable recommendation. And as you likely know, that bylaw changes or additional bylaws are also sent to the municipal law unit of the attorney general's office before they go into effect. So, and also after town council review, they found no concerns. So if you have any questions, I think be said.
Thank you.
Chris and John both spoke at open mic before Dan.
They do want to speak on this again.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm gonna open the floor to the committee members first.
Mr. Chairman, this is not a public hearing. I know John and Chris
It's at the discretion of the chair.
both spoke at open mic, looking at the hours and the articles and stuff to go. I would probably request that you just leave this to the committee.
I'm gonna agree with you. They did both speak at open.
But the person they wanted to speak to wasn't here.
Well, they can speak to them outside. We need to get moving on this thing.
I agree.
Sharon,
No questions, thank you.
Jen?
Who enforces this fine?
The police department.
And do you have any numbers on how often this has been enforced on a yearly basis?
Zero.
Okay, thank you, that's all I've got.
I honestly, I don't like this at all, because I think it's a slippery slope regardless. Town plows the street, they plow into my driveway. That now means I gotta clear from my driveway regardless of within 24 hours. I'm on vacation down in Florida, and there's a snowstorm. Now I'm in violation, I can be fined $75 and what about the town's liability? The 85-year-old grandmother who owns a house has to go and clear her sidewalk, and has a heart attack because he's afraid he's gonna get a $75 fine. So we don't enforce it. I think it's I hate to say a feel good law that we don't typically enforce. And my personal opinion, if the town goes through and puts all these nice, great sidewalks in, they should maybe invest a little bit of money in sidewalk plows to go around and take all that stuff. What's wrong?
Shaking my head.
Well, no,
I would love the sidewalk.
Well, but the town is
I
put a ton
understand,
of sidewalks in,
understand.
all approved.
I know.
They don't plow sidewalks and they leave it up to the residents that now plow to clear the snow in front of their sidewalk. for the cost of $75 fine if they don't do. roads. I mean, the biggest thing I'm thinking is if I'm away for a week in Florida, we have a snowstorm. My sidewalk's not done, my driveway's not done, all of a sudden I have a fine sitting on my.
Yep, I hear it. I understand your opinion.
I'm glad we appreciate it. But that's why I came to bring this, because I don't like this whole thing altogether, and I think. Address it differently.
Larry. Yeah, thank you. Did you know what the rules committee, I had many problems with this article. One thing you just said, just jumped out at me. You said $100 fine for dumping snow on someone's sidewalk. So town already has problems getting enough snowplow drivers. So when you have these intersections on the road, they plow up the corner on someone's property. Are you now charging the snowplow driver $100 for dumping the snow? That's.
They're in violation of a bylaw, but I mean.
They'd be in violation because they just dumped on that guy's sidewalk.
If the police department enforces that, I mean, this is specifically I know those concerns were addressed, someone mentioned that people were dumping snow on their property and there already is a recourse there. But this is specifically just for the removal on a budding sidewalk.
Yeah, and again, in the fairness issue, the town does plow Boston Road, Allen Road, and a couple of the others. Where I used to live, you've got houses on the corner that has maybe a small front, but they got 200 or 250 side on a corner going down. So they're having to remove a lot more snow than their neighbors. Second, the large cities where this is most often enforced have inspection services that'll go out and cite the people. Newark PD is not gonna go around citing them. If they get a call because of this bylaw, say on Centennial Drive, that's what, 100+ houses there? If they cite one, they're gonna have to go cite everybody along that road so that it's not arbitrary and capricious. That is gonna create such a firestorm that no one is gonna want it. Chris's office is gonna get so many phone calls on that. He's gonna just take it off the hook, not hear it. There is so many problems with this. Plus, I don't think there's a whole lot of people that go walk anymore. When this was put in 60-some years ago, you had 1-car families. Now there's at least 2 cars in each family. The kids are driven to school in the winter. No one walks anymore. So.
Disagree with, people do walk in the winter. We should be promoting walking in the winter. There are school kids that do have to walk in the winter. That can't.
This is a bad article. I will not support it.
It's just increased.
Thank you, Larry. Very.
No questions.
John?
Just a couple quick ones. And this may not be a question for me, is it, how many complaints from people that in the last 6 months, year, 2 years have we gotten about unkempt sidewalks?
6 months, probably not many.
Well,
Last winter, John.
I will say in the time I have been here, I have not received one.
I think that's a little skewed. I think that, and I was gonna bring up the same point that Larry did, as far as fairness goes. The town does, unlike other towns, and I drive from here to Stowe through Concord and all there every day. And I don't know how our town and the other towns determine which sidewalks the town is going to take care of that abut private property, but we do that. So unless the town is able to, especially with the increased sidewalks, take on all the town sidewalks, then I can't say, and I have a house with no sidewalks, I really don't have skin in the game. I just in general fairness in itself, I don't think it's something we should do. And again, but I don't think that there's a lot of sidewalks that have been complained about. And I have no evidence for or against that, but again, I'm just as far as fairness goes. And I thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
John? Right.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Has the police chief weighed in on this for any chance?
I spoke with the town manager, and previous town manager and the current town manager on it. Again, it's really only the fine. It's not the article, the procedural process is already in place. So he'll likely be at town meeting, and we'll be able to address concerns. He didn't have any problems with it to address with us, and really the goal was increasing the fine, so this could be an option to help with the situations when, people are not doing that.
Right, so yeah, but so that would also increase the number of citations, right? That's sort of the goal.
I agree. Well, so this is the goal is not to be punitive. The goal is just to set a standard in place. So this law isn't just text on a paper, it actually has an enforceable action. I know the town would be, I've spoke with the town manager more than willing. Every year the town places a notice informing them of the parking ban on the street. And then you can incorporate this reminder in part of that this is a bylaw that will be enforced. The police department has a discretion, they can issue warnings. They're not out to get people. That's not their goal, And if someone was in a situation where they're on vacation or something, ultimately it's still their responsibility. But if they miss it, then a small fine ultimately was still their responsibility. So the goal isn't to get other people, it's more like say an accessibility issue to make it so, there's people that need to use the sidewalks year round. We don't want them to get hurt or injured. We want them to be able to use them throughout the year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with the theory behind this again. I don't like fines. I think an outreach campaign would be great. Let people know, hey, this is impacting your neighbor. Instead of going straight to a resort, maybe have like a group of Boy Scouts or something go out and help people, help elderly people scoop out in front of their driveways. I'd like to see people sort of figure this out themselves. And awareness campaign, some sort of media on Facebook, some sort of social media. I know you're great at social media. You can get the word out there yourself. No, I'm serious.
No.
And you're younger, and a lot of younger people are able to help some of the elderly people. So I would like to see something like that first to see if we can get that working before I would support going to, some sort of increase in fund. Even though, of course, everybody wants more accessible sidewalks, but again, I think you're bringing this forward. That's it.
Jim. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Mr. Griffin raised the point right at the start. It's an equity issue. This isn't going to affect the citizens of Billerica equally. Not everyone has a sidewalk. Not everyone has the ability to clear the sidewalks. That raised the issue of an elderly person feeling the need to get out there and clear their sidewalk because they don't want a $75 fine. Well, I mean, they may not be able to do it, period. What do we do with that? I mean, I think it's going a little too far. I like Brian's idea about, putting out a public message to people that this is what we should be doing. We do it with fire hydrants. The first thing you hear is dig out your fire hydrant every year. We should be doing that, but to impose a higher fee on requiring someone to do something, I can't go with this. Sorry.
You're on deck. I believe someone mentioned the enforcement, there hasn't been much enforcement at all. I know not during the winter time, the summertime. Overall, how many complaints? Zero?
Well, there's complaints. There's definitely complaints, but using this bylaw and the authority the town has to enforce it has not been done because the fine is essentially non-existent.
I have a Facebook from the police department dated December 16, 2013. The problem been there at least that long. And the police department took the bylaw, snow removal bylaw, and showed it and said, this is what your responsibility is. And someone responded, too bad this bylaw isn't enforced, and the police department stated it is, but not as well as it should be. So even with $10, if this is a true piece of, what do you call it? Facebook. And I got it offline. I'm guessing it is because it looked legit. The last 13 years, 12, 13 years, there has been no enforcement. Or swimming up. So what guarantee do you have that they're going to enforce? Because let's be truthful, this is both violent for the most part over the years.
Yeah, that's the point of increasing so this, that could be viable.
I know that Boston had a huge problem a few years back. Where they was finding people, I think 75, I think it was more than that, it was like 150, but anyway, thank you. It's information.
Like, so, lot of information and I agree with everybody. No, seriously, I really do. I feel bad for the folks that can't do it, can't afford to do it. In some cases, it needs to be done. So I don't know where to go with this. Which is the time meeting to decide.
So should the town pay for it though, then? If the residents are gonna do it, should the town pay for the sidewalk?
But in regards to.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting.
This does, this.
It just, and I want to go.
Mr. Chair, point one, okay. I understand people have strong opinions, but especially people who are on other boards, you know what the rules are, when people can speak, when people cannot speak. So if you would please show us the courtesy of following the same rules that you folks do, I personally, as a member of this board, would appreciate it. Thank you.
Chris, bring it up at town meeting. Just a point of information, the sidewalks that do get plowed are typically bus routes, bus stops. So, just want to bring that up.
No.
Typical, but bus routes have to be, and bus stops have to be plowed.
I'm just on Conley Road, does it?
If it doesn't, it should be.
Why don't we just vote?
Let's vote. So, John,
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend Article 36 as printed in the final one.
Second.
all in favor? So yes. What's the count on this? 1, 2,
I don't know.
4?
4 in favor?
Yes.
4 in favor. 4 in favor, 6 opposed.
4, 6.
4.
So Sharon, you'll get the.
Daniel, good luck with this. Please.
Okay.
Let's see. Tonight. Be there early with
Wednesday, the 8th.
bells on.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah. This was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jen,
Yeah.
Jen,
Jen and Sharon.
Sharon,
me, and Dawn.
And Dawn.
You.
thank you. This should be a quick one.
Famous afterwards.
No, Article 37. Mr. Town Manager up for.
Well, fish. You sure? 37 was submitted by Donnie, who is our.
Wait a minute, I have that. Excuse me. Have you seen the agenda? This is represented.
It says Veterans Director Representative.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
It does.
That's not what I wrote. I told Donnie I would do this,
It's what's there.
so if you don't
Feel
mind.
free.
Yeah, we have.
Me. Donnie asked that I told him it was okay to delegate it, because why would, it would be 10:35 and we'll be sitting here discussing all this. But basically, when the Home Act was passed about additional veterans benefits, one of the things that could be done in a community that was not done here, for whatever reason, is there could be a check off on your tax bill asking you to donate money to Chapter 60, Section 3F, to veteran services. It allows, as it says in the warrant, it allows to give money to veteran services. It will be in the gift account, the gift fund, and it would not cost any more other than a line of type on the bill. And I support it, and I think it's a good idea, and I appreciate him finding it. That's all.
Anything there? Chris, from Ed?
She did a great job.
She sure did. Sharon, any questions?
Listen, you're new.
Jen?
No questions,
Done.
thank you.
Good, Larry. Good, Mary.
No.
Don.
No.
No.
I have 10.
I see you outside, come on.
The Red Sox still won, Joe.
Okay, good.
John?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend Article 37 as printed in the final.
Second.
Sharon.
Where all the energy come from?
It's your outdoor voice.
It's yelling for her voice.
All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
See, that was fast, huh? I read all my notes. I know. All right, let's see. We're on to free cash. Free cash votes approved pending certification. So we got certification. The votes are all in except for the land bank.
Did we vote on 4? Oh.
Yeah, that's good. It's on, it's Articles 4, 19, 21, 23, 24, and 25. Are those,
Do we just need to reaffirm our votes since we now have the certification?
So I think in the past, we always voted on them as you heard them. I think this was maybe the first year that you kind of held back and said, we'll wait for free cash to get certified. Luckily, we got it certified in time to have this
Did a
meeting,
fine job, thank you.
which, I do want to caution you that this might not be the case, every year. So I do recommend that as we go through the articles, we do vote on them. And it's, pending free cash, right? And generally, if we don't have it, we'll probably drop the article and withdraw it at town meeting, but.
This is just a confirmation because we're
Right.
voted on.
Yeah, it looks like the only one we didn't vote was Article 4.
Mr. Chairman, can we bundle articles 19 through 25? Is that possible?
They just reaffirm the vote?
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I say we vote for 4 separately and then bundle.
put that in the motion, would you?
I vote that we bundle articles 19, 21, 23, 24, and 25.
Second.
Larry get the second.
Stands for.
362.
And 4.
No, 4 we have.
No, no, only 4, 4, 7.
4, 7. Who was the second on that?
Larry.
Larry.
Do I have to speak louder?
All those in favor?
No.
Unanimous.
Chairman, this is Lou.
Okay, wait a minute. Article 4.
Still need to vote on the bundle.
Yeah.
We didn't see the vote.
We
No,
just
we
did.
voted to bundle.
Yeah, we voted to bundle.
Now we need to vote on the actual.
John, you're absolutely correct. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Finance Committee recommend Articles 19, 21, 23, 24, 25 as printed in final warrant.
Well, we already voted them.
No, voted to bundle.
Right, but what I'm saying is previously, so motion should be to reaffirm our vote.
Good, okay, can we say it that way?
Sure.
Stated.
All right.
Second.
We're gonna reaffirm that vote that I just made the motion on.
Mary second, I'm not even gonna.
All those in favor?
Larry seconded.
All right.
Okay.
I guess Article 4 is now.
That was a Larry's thing, that's right. And O. So. Let's talk about,
It's the pro.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, what did I say?
Transfer.
I just have a query. So if these were voted on before and we're reaffirming, but I wasn't voting before, am I still allowed to reaffirm a vote that I may not have been voted?
No. Can't reaffirm something you didn't vote on.
So I don't think that I was. It was here, I don't think I voted on it.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, did these, when we first voted on them, did they have placeholder numbers still?
No, they had the actual figures, yeah. Yeah, the 19 through 25 are all the engineering and DPW, that's when Fred was here. And we had the exact dollar amounts in there, there was no.
And I did not, according to my records, I wasn't voting on that night, on 19. One.
Just a point of information, Mr. Chair, the warrant itself lists us as recommending these articles already, so maybe we just double did it.
We double dipping here tonight.
But we reaffirmed, so we didn't. So it's
Nothing's 9-0.
it's already been recommended.
We can change the vote. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sorry if it's unnecessary.
No,
Wasn't
9-1.
Makes sense.
Change the vote 9-0. Reaffirming.
She came up-
Yeah.
Oh, I get
Just
you.
9-1. Who voted?
No.
Oh,
It's
9-0.
9-0.
It's just 9-0.
So we didn't vote on Article 4. huh?
No.
So I just point
know
of
why.
information here. That's Article 4 is also going to be on meeting night. We're gonna have to meet Tuesday.
Why?
Because that's Article 4, it's already, we're not gonna, we have to vote it.
Right, but-
It's on the agenda.
I think, he's talking about six.
We already have 6.
I see what you're saying, it's already on there. Yeah.
Four, yeah.
Okay,
We can vote.
4 is on the floor. Chris,
Article 4 is to vote a sum of money from the general fund free cash to debt stabilization fund. It is for $1.8 million.
ready for this? All's in favor?
Well,
I made the motion.
I'm sorry, let me do the motion first.
Mr. Chairman, I recommended that. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
We're not voting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend Article 4 as printed in the final warrant.
Second.
Brian.
Yes.
So this is how finance committee has gone on late night.
Yeah. We get punishment.
It's quite, too.
Those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. So, Article 28.
Mr. Freeman,
Sir,
can I make a suggestion that may help us with this?
please.
If we vote 28 with the 50K, you said?
Yep.
Can we then just leave 6 and when it comes up at town meeting, say we did not vote because it was a duplicate to Article 28?
Can dismiss.
we can't.
We can't, we have to dismiss 28.
We can't, no. We can vote 15 for 28. 6 goes out first. If it's voted, it passes, we dismiss 28.
But we won't have, if we don't vote at 20,
If
on
20
6.
if 6 fails, 28 sits back up.
Right, but what I'm saying is, yeah, we don't have 6 on the agenda, so we're not hearing it. Rather than having to say we have to come in early on Tuesday, can we just make the recommendation that Article 6 does not have a recommendation from us, or a vote from us, because it's a duplicate to Article 28?
Point of order, we can, we have, the finance committee shall vote on every article in the warrant.
Yep.
We have to vote on that article.
Yes, but
And in that case, I would also suggest, since it's a similar article, we postpone Article 28 until the same time.
They do have different language too.
Yeah, so this is, so I would.
the difference is that the 28, the real article, is one of the articles that starts off with $6 million. So at the last minute, you have to go through, miss, or change the amount.
But it also says to raise and appropriate or transfer. All Article 6 only says transfer.
Right. But
And that's what Article 28.
it'll be interesting.
Oh, well, it will.
So there'll be revision.
If
To
we,
the
if
language.
if we do this.
Yeah, I think there's always.
That's why I believe it's good if you vote on
Bullet.
on Tuesday, since we have to do that.
Yeah.
I,
Brian, makes sense.
I agree, Brian. We have to listen to it, have to vote it.
6 or 28?
26. We can vote 28 tonight.
Yeah.
Well, we have,
6 and
we could hold off on this and do the vote the same night.
just do them both the same night.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to postpone Article 28 to the next.
Point of information first before we vote on the motion. If we vote 28, can we just vote to dismiss Article 6 ourselves?
No, it's not.
Well, and if they're the same, why can't we dismiss 28 now? 6, or is there some problem with 6?
You still have to vote on 6 anyway, so why?
I guess so. I want to leave it here just in case something happens to 6.
I think also, if I remember correctly, someone was saying it also become a turf war between the finance committee and the select board because
I didn't say that.
28 is always.
I didn't say that.
I did not say anybody. I just said,
Joe Biden said that.
it's just,
Motion on the floor, this one, second now.
What's the motion?
I move to postpone Article 28 until our next meeting.
Second. Second. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opposed? 3 opposed. Opposed.
You didn't ask for it.
8, 2. I know I did. 8-2? I did now, but, okay, 8-2. 8-2.
Can I ask which ones we're dismissing?
We're not dismissing anything at this moment.
Okay.
That could happen Thursday, Tuesday night before town meeting, which we're gonna have to meet. And we're also gonna have to meet Tuesday to Thursday.
I say, did we schedule another meeting because I have the 9th down?
Yeah, because of the one we, that's,
Was there one before the meeting starts already scheduled?
yes, it's, the room's booked.
Oh, okay.
I just have to put an agenda together. Still from you.
When's our next meeting?
The 9th.
The 9th.
But now there's talking about the 7th. Can't we dismiss the articles that we want to dismiss? Since it's on the agenda.
Which ones are they?
That.
All the ones that are for $6 million.
You wanna dismiss Article 28?
No, you've already just voted not to do this. I don't want to do that one because that's the one that should be staying. That's why I voted no, but
Okay,
it's
so-
already voted to not do it.
Which ones,
6, 27, 29.
which ones?
26, 27, and 29. Those are the 3 that are pending that FinCom articles.
Oh, yeah.
Those are catch-alls.
Yeah.
Yes, they're the boilerplate for want of a better word. We typically do not dismiss 27 because we leave regular stabilization open in case one of the other, any of the free cash doesn't get approved by town meeting. So we put it in to, but since we're already keeping some free cash.
Right, yeah, the purpose of it is like, if town meeting denies one of the articles.
Yeah.
I mean, the balance is it stays in the free cash. I don't know, I mean, if the committee wants to put it in the stabilization fund.
Say, this is what we've always done. Definitely have to do it.
Mary, are you suggesting that we leave this alone and dismiss it second night of town meeting?
No, I don't care.
No, is that what you?
No.
Like you said, based on history.
Yeah, we just dismiss them because we're not gonna use them, but I don't wanna,
Well, we're leaving it just in case, right?
I think we should dismiss them. It would take 2 seconds. Lyd has already read the numbers out to,
I thought, I'm wrong, I thought these were kind of kept in case one of the other articles that was there would like give money back to the taxpayer. And this was kind of the catch it all before it has, and then that article has zero money with it, so it can't go through.
well, that was the initial part of it, but we already, I don't know. We have an article for that. Get back to the taxpayer.
To say if worse comes to worse, it can go to the land bank.
Oh, geez, don't tell Donna.
I don't know.
Shove it in the land.
All right, can we possibly do it some other time?
7.
Why is it again that we have to meet on the 7th?
6 and 28.
6 and 28. I think 28 should be with the rest of them. And then if we have to meet the 9th anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
28th at the end of the.
Right.
So when is 6 gonna be?
So we're going
We're gonna
to,
have to meet on Tuesday to see if six.
I think we should do 6 to 28, do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's what the motion was.
But
It was
the-
supposed
I
to-
think the point is that six
Yeah.
will already come up the first night.
Right.
Right, so if we're already voting about six, might as well finish.
But yeah, I need to vote.
Thursday.
Why not this coming Thursday?
I don't want to be here Thursday.
The, unless the petitioner for that wants to postpone it, in the 1, 2 numerical will come up. We'll be in big trouble if only it's to 5.
On the night, B and B.
Six to one of those two orders.
Correct.
Do we need to?
Motion to dismiss.
Is there no EMT paramedics contract? So 14.
Well, we can dismiss all three, 26, 27, and 29.
Yep.
Go on, make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the, Finance Committee, get rid of, dismiss, Articles 26, 27, and 29.
Second.
Yeah, Jim.
Nobody was jumping into the breach, so.
And all those in favor? Everybody except for Larry?
That'd be a contrary tonight.
Okay, Patrick.
Patrick needed a substitute.
So we have 9-1. I think that's everything on the agenda except for this.
So you only have 6 and 28 left.
Yeah.
And 32.
And we have to vote on.
And 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next Thursday.
And that's a Thursday.
Okay,
Okay.
I don't see any minutes on the.
But don't think, I'm sorry, but did you just say?
Yeah.
Review minutes as a thing.
Oh, okay.
The second,
It's on the second page.
I
Okay.
sent it out.
And she has sent out. I guess she did. Did everybody review them? Good boys and girls.
Fine, Ruth.
All right.
You done?
I'll say one thing, Patrick did, let me know who wasn't gonna make that. I didn't say anything at the time,
Okay, so change him.
so change that to excused?
To tell those are me,
Yeah.
cause we're the ones that, you know.
Agreed.
Correct.
Anybody else got?
Move that we accept the minutes of September 2nd.
Second.
Does
All in
that have
favor?
Does that have to be as amended, because I'm moving?
As amended.
Sure.
Scrivener's error.
As amended. Communication. There was a chairman there.
Could you please, tell me, are we still meeting on Tuesday?
We have to meet Tuesday before town meeting to vote 6 and 28.
Okay. And then on Thursday, we're meeting
To
for
vote
the
on
other
32.
32, and then
There won't be too much discussion.
we've already.
Talk
Yeah,
about.
we beat them.
You really wanna pound that done?
No.
What was the vote on the minutes? I'm sorry.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. So Patrick even called in to vote.
10-0, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I need Patrick, his most stuff.
can we get a motion to adjourn?
I heard a second before I didn't vote.
Yeah, he said, do I have a vote?
Forget about that.
You know, if they think he played this game, Boards and the whole thing.
Guys, thanks for helping rear me in on some of this stuff.
Oh, it's keeping us on. Yeah.
I did let some. And happen those, you know, this-
Yeah.
about it. Thank you. Very good point.
For you. Up to then, these that-
And you don't do it.
I know, Dawn.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, see you later, everybody. Tuesday.
And then.